Hey everyone, welcome to Firescale Audiobooks. If you enjoy the audiobooks, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. If you'd like to support us further, consider becoming a Patreon member. As a member, you'll gain the ability to request the next part of a novel audiobook I've uploaded, depending on your Patreon tier.
The shelter's defense level was dropping. The game notifications kept ringing in the ears of Prisoner Snake and the other players like a death knell. Prisoner Snake had lost count of the number of times he had rushed out of the door with the others. Each time, as soon as Prisoner Snake ran out, the zombies would automatically retreat into the darkness. Before long, they would return and pound the shelter with their stone hammers again. Prisoner Snake even tried to send a few players to guard the door. At first, it worked. But after a few times, the zombies changed their tactics. They began to try to go around the back and attack the wooden wall from the back and side of the shelter. Just a few players could not guard the entire shelter. At night, if players stayed in the wilderness for a long time, they would enter a negative state called dark fear. This state would gradually reduce all the players' basic attributes. The longer they waited, the more attributes they would lose. According to the official statistics provided by the federal government, if players accumulated more than 300 minutes in one night, there was a high chance that they would be infected by the zombie virus. This was the scariest part of the night. They could not all stay outside the door. If this went on, once the shelter was destroyed, everyone would die here tonight. No one could escape. Fear enveloped every player. They even began to feel despair. Lin R said coldly, "Why don't we go out and fight them? Fight your head. Are you going out to die? Stay here." The anger that Prisoner Snake had been trying to suppress finally exploded out of his control. He gritted his teeth. A bunch of trash. Not only was he being played around, but these idiot underlings were completely useless and could not help at all. Repair the defense. Amid the silence, a player suddenly shouted. Right. Repair the defense. The other players quickly reacted. This proposal was like a ray of light in the night, lighting up the hearts of this group of players and giving them a glimmer of hope for survival. The attack power of the zombie crowd was not high, so the defensive power of the shelter did not decrease quickly. In addition, the zombies were attacking one after another, so they still had enough time to fix the shelter's defense. They still had a lot of basic materials left. They only needed to withstand the zombies' attacks until the next day. Then, they could rush out and finish off the zombies. What are you waiting for? Move. Prisoner Snake was not an idiot. He immediately called his men to start repairing the shelter's defense. Those who don't want to die, hurry up. At this time, none of the players would even think about logging off to rest. Under the threat of the zombies, the players were especially united. Some were gathering firewood, some were rubbing wooden boards, and some were taking turns to clear the circle of zombies to buy some time for themselves. For an entire night, Prisoner Snake and his group of players were fighting against these zombies. It was not until early in the morning when the sun slowly rose. Brother Snake was about to go out and fight the zombies to the end when he realized that the zombies had already run away without a trace. After being tortured for the whole night, Brother Snake's eyes were bloodshot. On one hand, it was because he was angry, and on the other hand, it was because he had been under great mental stress for the whole night. Brother Snake, let's. Wang Xiao's face was full of fatigue and he sighed silently. Why don't we let our brothers go offline to rest first? Last night was too tiring. Prisoner Snake's gaze swept across the haggard faces of his players. Everyone had worked through the night, and both their mental and physical strength had hit rock bottom. Even so, the shelter's defense had dropped to 62%. This was even after everyone had worked through the night to repair it. What made matters worse was that by the second half of the night, they no longer had the materials to make wooden planks. They could only dismantle everything in the shelter. The entire shelter was now bare. The inner doors of the shelter had been demolished and even the ceiling on the second floor had been torn down. Prisoner Snake closed his eyes and took a deep breath. Due to the limitations of the game, he would enter a negative state if he did not rest for a long time, fatigue. Like other players, Prisoner Snake only had one thought at the moment. Get a good night's sleep. Such a team could not even protect themselves, let alone attack other players' shelters. Also, the system shelter would be ineffective again tonight. Their shelter had been hammered by the zombies on and off for the entire night. They lacked a large number of basic resources for maintenance. Everyone was tired and the team urgently needed to rest. The more he thought about it, the more Prisoner Snake felt a headache coming on. Let's take a break first. The shelter will lose its protection tonight and we still need to maintain it. We'll go after them in a few days. As he said that, he suddenly trembled without rhyme or reason. Those zombies wouldn't come looking for them again tonight, would they? In the cabin. Early in the morning, Liao Bufan went online as usual. The skinny old man, Jimmy, was holding a glass full of hot water. Where's Fang Heng? You're a little late. He just went offline 5 minutes ago. What? Liao Bufan was stunned. No way. He stayed online the whole of last night. Jimmy nodded and took a sip of the hot water. Does the boss want to go to heaven? Liao Bufan thought to himself that the boss was awesome. He took a can of meat from the storage box, opened it and put it in his mouth. Did the boss say anything when he left? Yes, he asked you and Lu Lin to stay in the cabin today and help transport the logs. He also asked you to make a few storage boxes that are easy to move. It will be more convenient when we start moving out. Ah. That's it. Liao Bufan was confused. It's good enough if you can finish the tasks. Jimmy looked at Liao Bufan, paused and added, if you have the energy, reinforce the shelter again. No, what did you mean by transporting logs? Where did the logs come from? Jimmy pointed to the door with his chin. You'll know when you go out and take a look. Liao Bufan was baffled. He blinked his eyes and pushed open the door of the cabin with confusion. F***CK. Looking at the scene outside, Liao Bufan couldn't help but swear. In the forest outside the cabin, there were about 20 zombies wearing lumberyard uniforms and they were holding steel axes in their hands. They were surrounding the trees and swinging the axes to chop them down. Boom. A big tree fell to the ground under the zombies chopping. The zombie expressionlessly took a few steps forward, walked to another big tree and swung its axe tirelessly. Bang. 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 The forest was filled with the sound of axes chopping down trees. Liao Bufan was stunned for a moment. There was such an operation. It seemed that vitality didn't apply to the zombies at all. They swung their axes mechanically to cut down the trees. They didn't need to rest at all. If you switch to a player, it would need at least half of his vitality points to chop down a tree. According to the game settings, half of the vitality points would take half an hour to recover under normal circumstances. Lu Lin shouted at Liao Bufan, who was standing there in a daze. He was carrying a large backpack of logs back to the cabin. Liao Bufan. Don't be lazy. Come and help me pick up the logs. Oh. I'm coming. Liao Bufan came back to his senses and couldn't help but lower his head to look at the ground. The surrounding area around the cabin was covered by logs. All logs. Clang. The metal basin on the table fell to the ground. The ear-piercing crash woke Fang Heng up from his sleep. I'm sorry. I accidentally woke you up. I didn't mean to. The girl was about 20 years old. Her cheeks were round and she looked somewhat immature. She repeatedly lowered her head and apologized to Fang Heng. Oh, it's okay. Fang Heng smiled kindly and got up from the lounge chair. The fatigue experienced in the game would be reflected in reality. After staying up all night, Fang Heng didn't even want to spend time going to the hotel next door to sleep after he went offline. He directly moved a lounge chair and placed it in the lounge of Team 3. He fell asleep immediately. He slept very comfortably this time. Fang Heng stretched lazily and looked at the time. It was already past 1 in the afternoon. The girl was very apologetic for waking up Fang Heng. She introduced herself, hello, I'm a new intern, Pei Ainen. My name is Fang Heng. What a coincidence, I'm also a new intern. I'm sorry, can you help me change the water? Thank you. Pei Ainen looked petite, so it was a little difficult for her to lift the bucket of water. Okay, I'll do it. Fang Heng said as he walked over to help carry the bucket of water. Fang Heng frowned when he lifted the bucket of water. What brand was this bucket of water from? Why was it so light? Could it be a low-quality product? Fang Heng easily lifted the bucket of water and placed it on the water dispenser. Then, he carefully looked at the brand name of the bucket of water. This was strange. It was just an ordinary 5-gallon bucket of water. Could it be that this body had been training all along? This did not make sense. Wasn't he a gaming nerd? Thank you. It's okay. Fang Heng waved his hand and stopped thinking about this. Where are the others? Why did they let a girl like you carry water? Are they bullying you? No, no. I saw that everyone was busy, so I didn't want to disturb them. Pei Anin stuck out her tongue. In the end, I woke you up. I'm sorry. Ha ha ha, it's okay. Fang Heng replied to her and ran to the company cafeteria to eat. There seemed to be something wrong again. Fang Heng thought about it carefully and suddenly felt that it was strange. As he thought about it, he was in the game for the whole of yesterday. In reality, he had not eaten anything for more than a day. He had only drunk a few glasses of water. But now, he did not feel hungry. That was weird. What was the reason? Who cares? Fang Heng couldn't figure it out, so he just ignored it. After eating, he went to the game cabin to log in. Hint: during the time you were offline, your zombie team cut down 823 logs. You have learned a skill felling. You have gained skill felling experience points 29,127. You have gained a skill strength training experience points 22,317. You have gained a skill physique training experience points 24,995. Hint: your skill felling has been upgraded to level 6. Hint: your skill strength training has been upgraded to level 6. Hint: your skill physique training has been upgraded to level 6. Hint: your skill level, strength training, and physique training cannot exceed your current character level. Please upgrade your character level as soon as possible. After appearing in the cabin, Fang Heng immediately opened the game log to observe the hack situation. It was a good discovery. It turned out that chopping down trees could also increase the skill experience points for strength training and physique training. In addition, one log could produce 1 to 7 wooden planks. The exact amount depended on luck and the level of the production skill. Fang Heng made a slight calculation. With this, he had almost collected enough logs. It would not be a problem for him to use them to create a large level 1 primary shelter. If he still needed more logs, he would go to the entrance of the prison to collect them. It was not even 2 o'clock and there were still a few hours before sunset. Fang Heng ordered the zombies to stop the felling and go to the prison. The next step was to continue clearing the prison. Speaking of which, the shelter would lose its system protection tonight. Fang Heng judged that it was the early stage of the game, so it was not a big problem. At most, 1 or 2 zombies would scratch the door at night. As long as they had an action plan beforehand, it would be easy to deal with the problem. In the morning, Fang Heng had already asked Jimmy to clean up the wandering zombies around the camp. He chose to cut down the trees near the cabin first. In fact, he also had the intention of opening up the nearby field of vision, so that the wandering zombies nearby would be easier to find. The wandering zombies would also be easily attracted by the noise produced by the logging here and be disposed of as soon as possible. That way, they would be safer at night. While he was in thought, Liao Bufan pushed the door open. He walked into the room with a backpack full of logs. Fang Heng, you're back. Seeing Fang Heng, Liao Bufan pointed at one corner of the room and started complaining. Big brother, look. Look. I'm begging you, please make your zombies stop working. I really can't do it anymore. Fang Heng turned around and looked in the direction Liao Bufan was pointing at. Only then did he realize that 1/3 of the cabin had been filled with logs. Big brother, do you know that working for you is very tiring? Liao Bufan looked determined. He emphasized, you have to pay me extra. When the new shelter is completed, I'll give you a permanent free residency. Good. The meal ticket was renewed. Liao Bufan was delighted and immediately agreed. Okay, then it's a deal, boss. Riding his mountain bike, Fang Heng rushed back to the prison. After more than 10 hours, the zombies in the prison square were scattered again. The number of zombies was much smaller than yesterday. Fang Heng didn't see any mutated zombies among them. With a wave of his hand, the zombies behind him raised their wooden spears and rushed into the sentry cabin. The zombies climbed into the prison square through the windows of the sentry cabin and started killing. Hint: your zombie clone has killed an ordinary zombie. You have gained 2 survival points. Hint: your zombie clone has killed an ordinary zombie. You have gained 1 survival point. Hint: your zombie clone. The game log started flooding with hints again. Seeing that the number of zombies in the prison square was greatly reduced, Fang Heng became bolder. He sneaked into the sentry cabin through the broken iron door. After closing the door, Fang Heng quickly took out a wooden board and reinforced the sentry cabin. Hint: you have cleaned the sentry cabin and completed the reinforcement. You can try to transform the cabin into a shelter. Fang Heng poked his head out of the window and carefully observed the square. He was now completely sure that there were no zombies in the prison square. This was easy. He could hack in peace. Fang Heng took out a wooden board from his backpack and completely sealed the window and the door of the sentry cabin. This way, even if the cabin was attacked, it could still last for an hour. Done. Fang Heng muttered and made a simple bed and threw it on the ground. Go offline. Get some sleep. Fang Heng took a nap in the lounge and ate his dinner early. Then, he returned to the game. Hint: during the time you are offline, your zombies has completed purged the prison square. You have obtained Evolution Crystal Fragment *41, Recipe Espresso, Precision Parts *3, Skill Book The Art of Felling *1, Scrap *2. Skill Book. Espresso Coffee Recipe. They were all good stuff. Fang Heng's heart skipped a beat. He immediately removed the reinforced wooden board on the window and jumped through the window into the prison square. The zombies in the prison square had been cleaned up. Pata. As soon as he landed, Fang Heng turned his head and looked at the building not far away. The lights in building number 3 were on. According to the description in the game, more than a month had passed since the outbreak of zombies and there were still lights in this building. Fang Heng was surprised. It might be the backup emergency power source in the prison system. Fang Heng muttered to himself. The zombie clones staggered to Fang Heng and threw the materials they had collected on the ground. Fang Heng opened one of the white skill books. Skill Book The Art of Felling. Description: after reading this skill, you can slightly increase the speed of cutting down trees. There is also a small chance of obtaining seeds, berries, honey, and other materials after cutting down trees. This skill can be upgraded to level 30, the skill level does not exceed the current player's level. It was better than nothing. It seems that in the future, relying on zombies to cut down trees can also obtain food items to fill the stomach. Recipe Espresso. Description: learn how to make espresso. Effects: after drinking espresso, you can obtain a continuous 12-hour state of excitement, which will increase the speed of energy recovery by 100%. After 12 hours, you will fall into a severe drowsiness state. Additional details: continuous use of espresso can increase the duration of the state of excitement, but the player will also bear the additional severe drowsiness state effect and time penalty. Good stuff. Espresso can alleviate drowsiness. Its effect is comparable to stimulant. It has always been an emergency material in the game. However, the coffee beans needed to make espresso are not easy to obtain. The harvest was good. Fang Heng tapped the skill book and recipe on his head. Hint: you have learned the skill The Art of Felling. Hint: you have learned the art of making espresso. Your cooking skill experience points plus 30. Next. Fang Heng narrowed his eyes and observed the situation in the prison again. There was still more than half an hour before the sunset. According to the original plan, Fang Heng should leave immediately and return to the shelter before sunset. However, the light from building number 3 made him change his mind. Under normal circumstances, due to the darkness of the night, the visual distance was short and the danger level was greatly increased. However, the working building in front of him was well lit. In addition, Fang Heng had slept for a whole day and was now in high spirits. He couldn't fall asleep even if he went back, so he might as well take this time to explore. After making up his mind, Fang Heng controlled his zombie clone to open a path in front of building number 3. The door couldn't be opened as it was locked from the inside. According to the sign, building number 1 and building number 2 of the prison were the two main buildings where prisoners were kept, while building number 3 was the office building of the prison staff. Through the glass window, Fang Heng could see the zombies wandering in the building. Fang Heng didn't enter building number 3 immediately. Instead, he ran to the doors of building number 1 and building number 2 to observe. The doors of building number 1 and building number 2 were locked from the outside with thick iron chains. It seems that the zombie virus broke out in building number 1 and building number 2 where the prisoners were held, so the guards locked building number 1 and building number 2 in advance. Fang Heng guessed. The strange thing was that the two buildings were unusually quiet. Fang Heng tried to get close to the door of building number 2 again and put his ear on the door. There was no sound at all. The silence made Fang Heng feel a little weird. It didn't make sense. It wouldn't be so quiet if it were full of zombies. Fang Heng frowned. He still felt that something was wrong, so he raised the small stone hammer and tried to knock on the iron chain. Bang! The iron chain that locked the door had total durability of 500,000 points, but it only dropped 7 points after being knocked by the small stone hammer. It would take at least 2 or 3 days to break it open with the small stone hammer alone. It's quite hard. Fang Heng muttered to himself. The lock was so tight that even if there were mutated zombies inside, they would not be able to come out for the time being. He could ignore building number 1 and 2 for now and directly clean up building number 3. He would first rely on building number 3 to build a player shelter. After some time, he would think of a way to slowly deal with the zombies in building number 1 and 2. If everything went smoothly, he could complete the plan of moving to the prison tomorrow. After all, there was a group of villains targeting the cabin right now, so Fang Heng couldn't feel at ease. The sooner they move, the better. Having made up his mind, Fang Heng sent a message to Liao Bufan through the survival radio to tell him that he wouldn't return to the shelter tonight. After that, he brought the zombie clones back to building number 3. They started to smash the door. The zombie clones raised their small stone hammers one after another. Dong! 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 After a few minutes of continuous hammering, the door of building number 3 was destroyed. Woo! The zombies entrenched in the office of building number 3 smelled the scent of strangers and staggered towards the door. The zombie clones blocked the door and raised their wooden spears to face the enemies. The zombies that rushed out of the building fell one after another like wheat being harvested. The sun gradually set. Hint: the sun has set. In the darkness, you will feel unspeakable fear. Hint: at night, staying in the wild for a long time will make you feel uneasy, and you will enter a dark fear state. Hint: please find a building to hide in as soon as possible. The last zombie that stumbled out of building number 3 fell in front of Fang Heng. Hundreds of zombie bodies appeared in the prison square. The interior of building number 3 became completely quiet. Fang Heng let out a sigh of relief and stepped into building number 3. Hint: you have entered a dangerous building. You can't confirm whether this building is safe or not, but it can give you a little protection in the dark. Hint: the protection of the building and the comfortable light make you feel less afraid. Hint: you are no longer affected by the dark fear. Fang Heng looked around as he walked into building number 3. The office building seemed to have experienced an apocalypse. Pools of blood could be seen everywhere and all kinds of documents were scattered on the ground. Fang Heng took out a newly made wooden door from his backpack and installed it at the entrance. Then, he reinforced it with 2 layers of wooden planks. Done, he thought to himself. This way, he didn't have to worry about being ambushed by zombies from behind. Then, Fang Heng ordered the zombies to search the entire building and attack all the zombies that could be seen. First, he asked the zombie clones to clean the building to reduce risks. Fang Heng had always been cautious. After giving the order to hack, he sat down and made a bonfire. Then, he started to heat the instant noodles. Bored out of his mind, Fang Heng turned on the survival radio. He was ready to watch the other players' encounters and find some fun. Liao Bufan, no way. It's only been a few days. You're already starting to stay out all night. It's not too much for me to call you big brother, right? Liao Bufan, big brother, we're almost out of food. Remember to make more tomorrow, okay? Lu Yu said, brother, I was rude to you earlier on. Please believe us. We came here with sincerity. Even if you don't want to join our company, you can still work with us, right? Why is it this kid again? Fang Heng rubbed his chin and replied, intending to tease him. That's a good suggestion. But, what do you have that I can work with? I want to see your sincerity. Can you get the complete evolution crystal? The fastest way for Fang Heng to improve his strength was to level up. With each level up, he could get more zombie clones. But at this stage, ordinary players could hardly get the evolution crystal fragments, let alone the complete evolution crystal. Fang Heng believed that leveling up was still a long way to go. Lu Yu received a message from Fang Heng and he immediately replied excitedly. Big brother, jokes aside. We're serious. How about this? If we work hard, we can probably get 10 pieces of evolution crystal fragments as a sign of sincerity. Fang Heng curled his lips and closed the private chat. He thought, only 10 pieces of evolution crystal fragments. Who are you looking down on? I could just get them for free. Fang Heng glanced at his backpack. Damn it. After clearing the zombies in the prison, he now had more than 300 pieces of evolution crystal fragments. He didn't know what to do with so many fragments. In the shelter not far from the Apocalypse merchant camp. Looking at the survival radio that went quiet, Lu Yu fell into silence again. What's wrong? Ah, the god is not replying again. Lu Yu sighed sadly and showed the radio chat message to Zhou Yi. We can't keep up with the god's footsteps. He has already started to mention the complete evolution crystal. Zhou Yi shook his head dejectedly. Anyway, we will try and get familiarized with the god by exchanging conversations with him. In the meantime, let's focus on the prison number 507 mission first. When he heard prison number 507, Lu Yu became serious. There was a prison more than 20 kilometers away from their shelter. Prison number 507. The mission Zhou Yi was referring to was something he had spent a lot of effort to purchase from a game intelligence organization. The intelligence organization claimed that the hidden mission had been accidentally triggered by a player on server 3. At that time, the player's medium-sized gaming company had utilized all the manpower within the company and even hired several groups of mercenaries to participate. Unfortunately, the mission failed. Due to investing too much time and energy in the mission, the medium-sized gaming company eventually closed down due to the breakdown of its capital chain. After a series of follow-up reviews by the intelligence organization, they determined that this mission was a rare hidden continuous mission. The difficulty level was higher than SSS level and the reward was also higher than that of SSS level. The intelligence organization provided the first 3 steps of the continuous mission. Just by looking at the reward of these 3 steps, Zhou Yi did not even frown and immediately took out money to buy it. This mission is a continuous one step at a time. We don't need to complete it directly. We just need to get the items from the first phase of the mission and hold on to the mission tightly in our hands. I went to the prison again this morning. It's strange. The number of zombies there has suddenly decreased by 2/3. They're such a good thing. Zhou Yi raised his eyebrows in surprise. This is a great opportunity for us. Now, we have a greater chance to sneak into building number 3. Really? Lu Yu smiled bitterly. Of course it's true. Why do you think we've been staying at the Apocalypse merchant's place for the past few days? I think we'll be able to exchange our survival points for an Earthmate explosive tomorrow. As long as we make a hole in the outer layer of the prison, the number of zombies will decrease a lot in a few days. Don't be too happy yet. Even so, building number 3 is very dangerous. Fortunately, we only need to find the police officer's diary. It's hiding in the cabinet on the 2nd floor. It's hidden very far away. Ordinary players can't even enter the prison, let alone find it. This is the only way to trigger the mission. The seller said that we must get it. Otherwise, the mission won't be triggered. Inside the prison, Fang Heng was sitting in front of the bonfire. Hint, your zombies have completed a round of collection. You have received plastic *2, waste paper *176, broken parts *1. Hint, your zombies have started a new round of collection. Hint, your zombies have completed a round of collection. You have received waste paper *201, soap *2. Hint, your zombie has started anew. The zombies that were sent out to search the place kept going back and forth, throwing the sundries that they had collected in their backpacks in front of Fang Heng. The exploration of the building was slower than Fang Heng had imagined. After a few hours, he was so bored that he started reading 2021 Prison Cleaning Record Report. Tisk, TSK, the cleaning lady was lazy on the 19th, she didn't even clean the toilet and the excuse was that the detergent was gone. While Fang Heng was mumbling, another zombie returned and started to take things out of its backpack. Hint, your zombie has completed a round of collection. You have obtained rags *3, contaminated documents *30, damaged police officer's diary *1. Police officer's diary. Fang Heng's eyes lit up. Diary is good. This is even better than the annual cleaning report, he thought. Fang Heng opened the bloody and torn notebook. Because most of the notebook had been destroyed, Fang Heng could only see part of the contents. 6.4. Today was my first day on the job. Everyone looked very friendly. Team leader Tully told me not to be kind to the prisoners. This would make them feel that you were weak and easy to bully. 6.5. The password of the safe in the gun room was left 6 right 2 left 11. For the record, after 3 failures, the safe would automatically be locked. It would be very troublesome to open it again. The team leader was very nice to me. After work, we played cards together. I lost a lot of money, but the team leader also bought me a drink. 6.8. Oh my god, was that giant Erida? He's so tall and strong. He's about 2.34 meters tall, right? The team leader was right. He was the most dangerous prisoner in the prison. He could bend an ordinary iron bar with his bare hands. I have to keep an eye on him. 7.7. I noticed that there were a few unfamiliar faces in the prison. The team leader told me that they were doctors from Dawn Hospital. Recently, there seemed to be some kind of infectious disease in the prison. It was a terrible infectious disease. I had to be careful to avoid being infected. 7.19. Recently, many patients were being carried out one after another. I secretly took a few glances at them. The way they died was terrifying. The team leader told me that they had all died from an infectious disease. He also warned me not to come into contact with the prisoners. This infectious disease was very strange. The ones who died were mostly strong men while the skinny prisoners were fine. Could it be that their immune systems were different and they were more vulnerable? 8.1. It was too scary. There was a sudden large-scale riot in the prison. We locked up buildings number 1 and 2, and let building number 3 become the last refuge. I've never experienced such a thing. I heard the team leader calling for help, saying that an infectious disease had broken out. Outbreak. Was this a riot? The warden wanted to meet us in the basement. I got to go. I hope it goes well. The contents of the notebook ended there. It seems that a zombie virus did break out in the prison. But, isn't this hint too obvious? The password of the safe in the gun safe room is left 6, right 2, left 11. Fang Heng murmured in a low voice. It's obvious that you want me to find the safe. Such an obvious hint, could it be a trap? Fang Heng flipped to the back. On the last page of the diary, there was still a paragraph of text. The handwriting was quite messy. It seemed to be written in a hurry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I was too scared. My body was out of control. At that time, I just wanted to escape. Everything was my fault. God. What stupid thing did I do? I locked them all in the basement. I'm a coward. I'm a loser who killed my friends and my colleagues. The team leader was right, this isn't a riot, it's an epidemic. The outside of building number 3 has been surrounded by crazy infectious people, I can't get out. The only way out is the basement, but it's already occupied by monsters. No matter who it is, if you see this note, please tell the others that there are monsters in the basement. I'll hide the key to the basement in the safe later. Don't open the basement door without permission. Sorry, team leader, I'll be with you soon. The next second, a few lines of game notifications were refreshed in Fang Heng's mission log. Hint, you have completed the reading. Hint, you have triggered a hidden mission, a police officer's diary. Mission name, a police officer's diary. Mission description, find the key to the basement entrance. Mission difficulty. Mission reward, survival points. Additional description: the faster you complete the quest, the more rewards you will receive. After reading the note, Fang Heng fell silent. So this prison guard locked his teammates and zombies in the basement to escape. TSK TSK TSK. Having a foolish teammate was terrifying. Fang Heng could not help but sigh under his breath. Hidden missions would also be triggered in the game. Generally speaking, the rewards of hidden missions were relatively high. Fang Heng opened the game log to take a look, trying to assess the risk of this mission. The zombies had finished cleaning the first and second floors of the prison's work area and were on the way to cleaning up the third floor. The second floor was not very dangerous. The assessment was completed. Fang Heng made a simple judgment. The benefits far exceeded the risks. He accepted this mission. Since he had decided to accept the mission, Fang Heng targeted the highest reward and wanted to complete it as soon as possible. Fang Heng put out the bonfire, stood up and looked up at the wall. On the wall of the entrance hall was a map of the overall layout of the prison. The diary said that the safe is in the gun safe room. Fang Heng tried to find the location of the gun safe room on the map. He found it. It was the last room on the second floor. Fang Heng took out a mace from his backpack and summoned 5 zombie clones to follow him. They entered the second floor through the stairs at the front of the hall. The zombie clones that were sent out to hack could investigate, collect materials and kill the enemies at the same time. Unfortunately, they didn't have enough intelligence. When they encountered some doors that couldn't be opened, they wouldn't force their way in. Instead, they would take a detour. These locked rooms might contain zombies and materials. Fang Heng had planned to leave the blind box for Liao Bufan to open tomorrow. In front of the gun safe room, Fang Heng tried to twist the handle of the door. As expected, the gun safe room was locked. Fang Heng tried to stick his ear to the wooden door to listen. There were many zombies inside. Fang Heng waved his hand, signaling the zombie clones behind him to smash the door. In just 3 minutes, the door was knocked down. A few zombies staggered toward Fang Heng. Hiss! Hiss! The zombie clones blocking the door were prepared. They kept pushing the zombies back with their long guns, leaving a few holes on their bodies. The cycle repeated dozens of times and the remaining zombies in the room were cleaned up. Fang Heng walked into the gun safe room to check. The gun safe room was as messy as the outside world, as if it had been ransacked. The guns on the shelves had also been emptied, leaving only a few scattered bullets. Bullets were also good stuff and they were all rare materials. Fang Heng put them into the player's backpack one by one. Hint: you have obtained an ordinary handgun bullet *237. The old-fashioned green safe described in the diary was placed in the right corner of the gun safe room. It could be seen at a glance. Left 6, right 2, left 11. Fang Heng walked forward and carefully twisted the numbers on the turntable. Click. With a light crisp sound, the safe was opened. Fang Heng opened the safe. A pistol and a bunch of keys lay quietly in the safe. There is a gun. Fang Heng's eyes lit up and he picked up the pistol. Item: Pistol Colt M4000. Description: a modified Colt M4000 pistol. It could be loaded with 12 bullets and slightly increase the critical strike rate. Good stuff. Guns were extremely good items in the apocalypse. They were extremely valuable to players, especially in the early stages of danger. They posed the greatest threat to players. Fang Heng was sure that someone would be willing to pay a high price for it. There was also this set of keys. Fang Heng picked up the keychain and weighed it in his hand. He reckoned that all the keys to the entire work area of building number 3 were here. Well, he could stop banging on the doors tomorrow. Fang Heng put away the keys and the game prompt appeared again. Hint: you have found the key to the basement entrance. Hint: you have completed the mission police officer's diary. Obtained 15 survival points. Hint: you can choose the following options. Option 1, try to explore the basement. Option 2, sell the key to any apocalypse merchant for 100 survival points. This mission is weird. Fang Heng examined the mission notification. Although the mission gave me options, it didn't let me make a choice right now. After thinking for a while, Fang Heng decided to go to the basement first. He planned to build the prison as a shelter. If a group of zombies were gathered in the basement, how could they sleep well at night? Fang Heng brought the zombie clones back to the first floor. The entrance of the basement was on the right side of the warehouse, which was relatively hidden. There was even a 3-layer iron gate outside. No way. The protection measures are so good. Fang Heng mumbled and searched through the keys one by one. He slowly marked each key until he opened the last door. Behind the door was a long corridor. The lights were abnormally dim and pools of dried blood could be seen in the corridor. 2 zombies were scouting ahead, while Fang Heng was slowly walking behind them. After walking for about 10 steps, Fang Heng suddenly heard a small noise. What was that noise? Fang Heng stopped walking. Crack, crack. Listening carefully, it sounded like something was rubbing against the wall. The noise was getting closer and closer. Fang Heng's pupils constricted slightly. We're in big trouble. Fang Heng realized the seriousness of the situation. He cursed loudly and turned around to run. Mutated zombie spider. A zombie with high-speed crawling ability. Its movement speed was extremely fast, and it could climb all kinds of terrain. It was best at breaking through the shelters built by players. They could climb into your shelter from all kinds of gaps, and forcefully pull you back into the game from the real world. Because it had been climbing on the wall, its hands and feet were particularly slender after the mutation, so it was also known by the players as the spider zombie. Fang Heng had just turned his head when 4 or 5 spider zombies quickly crawled out from behind the corner at the end of the corridor. Crack! Crack! The spider zombies were leaning against the wall and started to chase after Fang Heng along the side wall at a great speed. Fang Heng immediately left the 2 zombie clones behind and ran away without looking back. After escaping from the basement, he slammed the door shut with a loud bang. Hint, your zombie clone is being attacked. Hint, your zombie clone is being attacked. Hint, your zombie clone is being attacked. Hint, your zombie clone is dead. Now, Fang Heng finally knew. Why was that rookie prison guard in the diary so scared that he even left his teammates inside? Previously, he was still mocking him to be a foolish teammate, but now Fang Heng admired the kid's alertness. It turned out that the basement was full of mutated zombies. After locking the outer 3-layer iron door, Fang Heng leaned against the wall and panted heavily. What was the point of him accumulating so many survival materials? If he was accidentally scratched by a spider zombie and got infected with the virus, he would still die. It was not worth it. Fortunately, he ran fast. Fang Heng was secretly rejoicing. The difficulty of this mission is really While he was talking to himself and rejoicing that he was lucky to be alive, Fang Heng suddenly turned his head and looked at the locked basement door. There seemed to be a lot of mutated zombies in there. If I can kill them, doesn't that mean that I can get a lot of complete evolution crystals? Then I would be able to level up quickly. Fang Heng narrowed his eyes, his brain working quickly. But how should he kill them? The spider zombies were extremely agile. It would be very difficult for the zombie clones to hurt them. If they attacked from afar, the zombie clones would be too slow to load their crossbows. It seemed. He had an idea. He could go to the Apocalypse Merchant and see if he had any weapons that could deal with the spider zombies. The next morning, Liao Bufan went online as usual. He opened his eyes when he entered the game and saw 2 zombies moving logs out of the cabin. Hey! What's the situation with these zombies? Liao Bufan was confused. He had spent a lot of effort to move these logs in yesterday. Why did the zombies move them out again today? Big brother, are you kidding me? Liao Bufan was about to ask Lu Lin about the situation when the game notification rang. Hint, your survival radio has received an urgent message. Fang Heng, come to the prison, bring the materials, we're moving house. Liao Bufan was stunned. For a moment, countless questions flashed through his mind. Move. Why move? Move to the prison. What about the zombies there? What about the cabin here? Where is Fang Heng? Is he also in the prison? Liao Bufan immediately replied. Liao Bufan. Fang Heng, right now. Remember not to destroy the building after you come to the prison. Come in through the window of the sentry cabin. I'm in building number 3, hurry. Liao Bufan rubbed the back of his head, his face revealing a confused expression. Inside building number 3. No way. Could it be that this kid really cleaned up the entire prison by himself? He must be joking. This was too exaggerated. How could he deal with thousands of zombies? Liao Bufan didn't believe it. Was the big boss bragging? Half an hour later, Liao Bufan arrived at the small slope outside the prison. His mouth was wide open in an O shape. It was impossible. Why was it gone? Where were the zombies? Liao Bufan rubbed his eyes. For a second, he even suspected that he was seeing things. A few days ago, the prison square was still filled with zombies. Where did they go? Were they really wiped out? How did he do it? It was impossible. Can someone tell me what's going on? Liao Bufan scratched his hair in frustration. He felt like his world had been turned upside down. He needed to ask Fang Heng. Liao Bufan found the sentry cabin that Fang Heng described and carefully went in. Building number 3. That's it, right. Walking to the prison square, Liao Bufan smelled something before he could even enter the door. He sniffed. It smelled so good. Was it meat? Liao Bufan was suspicious. He slowly walked to building number 3 and pushed open the wooden door. Creak. As the wooden door opened, Liao Bufan immediately saw Fang Heng fiddling with the barbecue grill in front of the bonfire. Having a barbecue in the morning. Was this something a human would do? Liao Bufan looked at Fang Heng with eager eyes and was about to scold him. Fang Heng happened to notice Liao Bufan. He turned to the side and pointed at the skewers on the grill. He spoke first. Come, try one to see if it's cooked. You're so polite. Big brother is mighty. Liao Bufan walked up quickly and picked up a skewer to bite. The aroma of the grilled meat permeated the air. Fragrant. Liao Bufan felt that he had never eaten such delicious barbecued meat before. He felt an unprecedented sense of satisfaction. Fang Heng also picked up a skewer and took a bite. The taste was indeed good. Last night, after exploring the basement, Fang Heng also went offline to rest for a while. He and Liao Bufan went online around the same time. He was still counting the materials. Hint, your zombie has completed the search of the building. You have obtained the recipe super large skewer, skill book gun mastery. You have obtained pistol bullet *39, broken wood *27, bottled water *72, raw meat *21, shredded cloth *192. The harvest was not bad. Fang Heng had directly learned the recipe for the super large skewer. Coincidentally, he had also found raw meat. In addition, he had found a barbecue grill 2 days ago. It was the will of the heavens. Therefore, Fang Heng casually started making the skewer. While eating the skewer, Fang Heng continued to check the rewards from last night. Skill book, Gun Mastery. Description: after learning Gun Mastery, the user will gain an additional 10% damage when using a gun, shorten the loading time by 10% and increase the accuracy by 10%. The maximum level of this skill, level 20, skill level does not exceed the current player's level. In the later stages of the game, guns were gradually becoming more and more popular. At that time, the value of this skill book would be at least 5 million. Fang Heng contemplated for a moment and tapped the skill book on his head. Hint, you have learned the skill Gun Mastery. Boss. Liao Bufan ate the meat skewer and was in a great mood. He forgot about the unhappy incident just now and went up to greet the boss with a smile. Boss, how did you get rid of those zombies outside? It's a secret. This answer made Liao Bufan a little disappointed. Liao Bufan rolled his eyes, then continued to ask, so, boss, what do you want me to do today? Repair the prison first. Take your time with the rest. Fang Heng briefly explained his plan to Liao Bufan. Their goal was to build a shelter based on the prison. Therefore, while collecting a large number of materials, they also needed to re-maintain the entire prison. But before that, they had to ensure the safety of building number 3. They would be staying in building number 3 for the next few days. They needed to thoroughly search all corners of building number 3 and the unopened gates. They needed to make sure that no zombies were left in building number 3 except for the basement. Fang Heng then explained to Liao Bufan about what he found in the prison last night. There are spider zombies in the basement. Liao Bufan picked up another skewer of meat and looked at Fang Heng with an even weirder expression. Compared to that, he was more amazed that Fang Heng was able to escape from the basement. That kid was really terrifying. I'm leaving now. Later on, contact Lu Lin and Uncle Jimmy, and ask them to work with you. Fang Heng patted Liao Bufan's shoulder. Where are you going? I'm going to find a way to deal with the spider zombies in the underground passage. Liao Bufan was about to put the meat skewer into his mouth when he paused. Did I hear it right? Is he really going to deal with those mutated zombies in the basement? Fang Heng was very greedy. He wanted to build the shelter and also leveled up his character. The mutated zombies in the basement were good stuff. If they were killed, they could get a lot of complete evolution crystals. This was the golden opportunity to level up. Fang Heng rode his mountain bike to the Apocalypse merchant camp. Yesterday, he cleared the prison square and building number 3. So far, he had accumulated 13,782 survival points. Hi, Fang Heng, we meet again. Apocalypse merchant Vettel waved at Fang Heng enthusiastically. You're just in time. I have a new batch of goods here. How? Are you interested? Really? What a coincidence. It was good that they were friendly with each other. Fang Heng opened the merchant's hidden exchange page to check. Oh. Stun baton. It was a powerful close-range weapon that could paralyze zombies. It was a practical weapon, but unfortunately, it didn't work on mutated zombies. Shotgun. This was good too. Unfortunately, it was too expensive and the loading speed of the shotgun was too slow. It was barely enough to deal with one spider zombie. There were too many spider zombies in the basement. It was too dangerous. Fang Heng checked the exchange column but couldn't find a suitable weapon. He was a little disappointed. Do you have a powerful weapon? Fang Heng tried to explain. I want to deal with the spider zombie. Spider zombie, that thing is quite difficult to deal with. Let me think about it. The Apocalypse merchant pointed at his head with his index finger and thought for a while. I have a kind of compound adhesive landmine. It is quite effective, but it's hard to get. It's also very expensive. One of them costs about 3,000 survival points. No. Fang Heng shook his head. I need an offensive landmine, not just for defense. I see. Then I think you'll be able to use this thing. Apocalypse merchant Vettel took out a book from under the counter and opened it to one of the pages. He pointed at one of the pictures. Focused flamethrower M021. It can instantly shoot out focused, high-intensity flames. Zombies are most afraid of this. This is good stuff. Fang Heng's eyes lit up. He had an impression of this weapon. In his memory, he had seen a video before. The players in the video used this kind of focused flamethrower to ignite the zombies one by one. The high temperature was so high that even the mutated zombies couldn't withstand it. The spider zombie didn't have a high HP. Its only weakness is that it can't be used for a long time. Otherwise, it will be damaged due to overheating. Seeing that Fang Heng was interested in the flamethrower, Vettel continued. I don't have any stock here. If you order it, you have to pay 10,000 survival points first. I'll restock it in 3 days. The merchant lowered his head and calculated for a moment. Very quickly, he gave a sky-high price. In addition, you still need fuel. Adding 3 bottles of fuel, you need a total of 2,620,000 points. What do you think of this deal? Very good. Unfortunately, I can't afford it now. Fang Heng spread his hands out in resignation. What mission do you have for me? I want to earn some survival points. I see. Then you can take a look at the missions here and see if there are any that are suitable for you. Fang Heng opened the mission panel again. Last time, because of the SSS level mission, Fang Heng didn't have time to look at it carefully. He hurriedly accepted the mission and left. Today, Fang Heng patiently looked at the mission panel. Generally speaking, the missions provided in the mission panel were divided into several categories. Clearing zombies, searching for items or people, collecting materials, and exploring the regional environment. Collecting materials. There was such a mission. Fang Heng's eyes lit up. He selected the keywords in the mission panel. Collect. Mission name, collect iron ore, repeatable. Mission requirement, collect 300 units of iron ore. Mission reward, 600 survival points. Mission name, collect coal ore, repeatable. Mission requirement, collect 300 units of coal ore. Mission reward, 600 survival points. Mission name, collect wooden planks, repeatable. Mission requirement, collect 300 units of wooden planks. Mission reward, 600 survival points. Wooden planks. Fang Heng saw something extremely exciting. It was collecting wooden planks. There was no lack of wood in the forest environment. His zombie toolmen were completely capable of making wooden planks 24 hours a day. When the time came, he would sell the finished wooden planks to the merchants. I'm rich, he thought excitedly. My heart is beating so fast. Could it be that I discovered a bug in the King of Gods system? For a moment, Fang Heng even had the impulse to empty the Apocalypse merchant shop. I want to buy a modified motorcycle. Okay, a total of 5,350 survival points. Do you need to buy some fuel? No, thank you. The modified motorcycle was in his hands. Fang Heng rode the mountain bike and returned to the prison. Liao Bufan and Lu Lin walked around building number 3 in the morning and carefully checked it to see if there was a dangerous breach. The external wall of building number 3 was abnormally strong, without any signs of damage. The 2 back doors of the building had been locked and sealed from the inside. The only entrance and exit was the wooden door that Fang Heng placed last night. Liao Bufan reinforced it 3 more times after the inspection to ensure that it had sufficient durability. Overall, the defense of building number 3 was several times higher than the small cabin that they stayed in last night. At that moment, Liao Bufan and Lu Lin were working together on the first floor to open the blind box to clear the zombies. Big Brother is powerful. He cleared the entire prison. I don't understand. How did he do it? Until now, Liao Bufan's mind was still full of question marks. He couldn't understand how Fang Heng managed to clear the entire prison. I know. Why? How did he do it? But I won't tell you. Lu Lin was in a good mood as she was about to move into a higher security shelter. She deliberately tried to scare Liao Bufan. The more you know, the faster you'll die. Don't ask too much about Fang Heng's secrets, or you'll be silenced. Hiss. Liao Bufan gasped. The boss is that scary? Yeah, of course. He's very scary. Otherwise, have you ever seen anyone who could kill so many zombies in just 2 days? No, I mean, that one. Liao Bufan pointed at the window beside him and signaled outside. What do you think those zombies are doing? Zombies. Weren't they moving materials back and forth between the cabin and the prison? Lu Lin thought. She curiously went to the window and observed the situation outside. On the prison square outside, nearly 20 zombies were divided into 3 groups. One group was using wood to make wooden planks, while the other group was using wood to make wooden frames. The last group of zombies disassembled the wooden frames into pieces of wood again. The process went on and on, forming a cycle. Was the boss playing some games? Liao Bufan couldn't understand it at all. With a confused look on his face, he could only ask Lu Lin. What do you think the boss is doing? Lu Lin was confused as well. What were the zombies disassembling the frame and putting it back together? What a waste of production capacity. Both of them turned their eyes to Fang Heng, who was sitting on the square with a silly smile on his face. Liao Bufan scratched his head. Did Big Brother suddenly become dumb? Lu Lin glared at Liao Bufan. You really can't say anything nice, right? What good does it do for you if Fang Heng becomes dumb? Liao Bufan obediently shut his mouth. It made sense. He was still counting on Fang Heng's long-term meal ticket. Lu Lin looked at Fang Heng outside the window. She nodded and pondered for a moment. Suddenly, her eyes lit up. Could it be that he? Could it be? That he was trying to gain experience. Fang Heng sat in the prison square. The game log started to refresh with countless notifications. Hint: your zombie has completed the wooden plank *3. Basic production experience points gained +1. Hint: your zombie has completed the wooden frame. Basic production experience points gained +3. Hint: your zombie has dismantled the wooden frame. You have obtained the wooden plank *8. Hint: your zombie has completed the wooden frame. Basic production experience points gained +3. Hint: your basic production skill level has been upgraded to level 3. There were 2 ways to make wooden planks. The first way was to synthesize wood from basic materials. This method was relatively inefficient. 10 pieces of firewood could only be mixed to make 1 wooden plank. Another method was to use logs. 1 piece of log could make 3 to 10 pieces of wood planks. But the prerequisite for using logs was that the player's basic production level reached level 5. Fang Heng's current basic production level was only at level 1. It wasn't just Fang Heng. Most players' basic production level was at level 1. After all, in the early stages, players were limited by their energy points. Except for those players who had related talents and skills, it was very difficult to raise their basic production levels. Fang Heng was different. His zombie clone didn't have energy points at all. It could go without sleep or rest for 24 hours. It was the perfect Tolman. After Fang Heng's experiment, he simply divided the zombies into 3 batches. One batch mixed the firewood to make a wooden plank and the other batch used the wooden plank to make a wooden frame. The last batch dismantled the wooden frame into firewood. The entire process formed a perfect cycle, without any material loss. The result was that Fang Heng's basic production experience points were soaring. A perfect hack. Fang Heng was quite satisfied with his production line and even lay on the ground to take a nap. After about an hour and a half, a notification popped up in Fang Heng's game log. Hint: your skill basic production level has been upgraded to level 6. Hint: your basic production's current level cannot exceed the current character's level. Please upgrade your character's level as soon as possible. Normal players took 5 to 6 days to upgrade their basic production skill level by 1 level. Fang Heng, on the other hand, only needed 1.5 hours to level up his basic production skill level to level 6. Opening the basic construction panel, Fang Heng noticed that there were a few new modules in the panel, including the making of wooden planks. Due to the lack of saw boards, it would take extra time to use the skills to make wooden planks empty-handed. However, Fang Heng didn't care. After all, he had more than 20 zombies with him. Fang Heng directly gave the order to his zombie clones to make wooden planks. Hint: you've finished making 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 wooden planks. 30 minutes later, the loading truck behind the modified motorcycle was filled with wooden planks. Let's go. Off to deliver the goods. Fang Heng filled the newly bought modified motorcycle with gasoline and sped to the Apocalypse Merchant Camp. At the Apocalypse Merchant Camp, Vettel saw Fang Heng driving the fully loaded modified motorcycle back to the camp, and a look of joy appeared on his face. Fang Heng, I think I saw you carrying a batch of goods over. Let me guess, were they prepared for me? Of course, Vettel. I've always been reliable, right? Ha ha ha. Of course, my friend, you've helped me a lot. Hint: your friendship with Vettel has increased. Fang Heng parked the modified motorcycle in the camp. Immediately, NPCs came over to help unload the goods. The NPCs moved the materials down and piled them up in the camp. Hint: you have submitted 300 wooden planks to a merchant. You have received 600 survival points. Hint: you have completed the mission. Hint: your friendship with the Apocalypse Merchant Vettel has become stronger. Hint: you have submitted 300 wooden planks to a merchant. You have received 600 survival points. Hint: you have completed the mission. A series of mission notifications appeared. Fang Heng made a rough calculation in his mind. He could complete 3 missions from the prison and receive 1,800 survival points. If he had to go back and forth 20 times, not only would he have enough flamethrowers, he could even exchange for the furnace that he had been longing for. It was wonderful. Fang Heng's mind was inflamed with passion. He had only slept for less than 4 hours last night, but now he was in exceptionally good spirits. He wished that the carrying capacity of his modified motorcycle could be increased by another 10 times and that he could directly empty the Apocalypse merchant camp. The day was about to pass. In another hour or so, the night was about to arrive. To increase efficiency, Fang Heng was reduced to a porter for the entire day. He drove his modified motorcycle back and forth between the prison and the Apocalypse merchant camp more than 10 times. When the last cart of goods was unloaded, Fang Heng found that he didn't have enough raw wood to make wooden planks. He had no choice but to call it a day. Fang Heng planned to let the zombies hack the trees for the whole night. In this way, he could have a large batch of wood to sell the next morning. Due to Fang Heng delivering too much wood each time, the merchant's camp was currently filled with wood. They did not even have time to separate the piles. Fang Heng counted the survival points he earned today. It was a total of 19,000 points. It was a great harvest. Vettel, I need to order the focused flamethrower M021 and fuel from you. Fang Heng thought for a moment and added, prepare a few more sets of fuel for me. 20 sets should be enough. Of course. Vettel was in a great mood. He immediately agreed and even winked at Fang Heng. I'll call my old friend later. The goods you ordered will arrive tomorrow afternoon. This is a special treat. Fang Heng knew in his heart that this was the effect of having a high enough favorability rating. If it was a normal favorability rating, Vettel wouldn't even bother to make an appointment to buy the goods, let alone let the goods arrive ahead of schedule. Haha, Vettel, you're a good friend. Of course. Everyone knows that I, Vettel, am famous for being loyal. Also, I need to purchase 2 more furnaces. Okay, this is the furnace. Keep it well. Hint, you have spent 4,500 survival points to purchase the furnace *2. Hint, you have spent 10,000 survival points to order the focused flamethrower M021*1 and fuel *20 from the Apocalypse merchant Vettel. Hint, please pay the balance within 3 days after the goods arrive. Otherwise, your prepayment will be forcibly deducted and your friendship with Apocalypse merchant Vettel will be greatly affected. Vettel, see you tomorrow. I will bring more wooden planks when the time comes. Prepare your wallet. Ha ha ha. Fang Heng. You are an interesting survivor. To save fuel, Fang Heng slowly returned to the prison on his bicycle. Coincidentally, when he left, he saw 2 players walking towards the camp from afar. Zhou Yi and Lu Yu also saw Fang Heng at the same time. Before Lu Yu could speak, Fang Heng had already turned away from another fork in the road. The 2 of them looked at each other. That person just now seemed to be Fang Heng. The god. It should be him. Zhou Yi nodded and said, unfortunately, I've checked online. The god's character doesn't seem to be very good. I'm afraid that it would be troublesome to recruit him into the company. Otherwise, even if I had to spend a few million, I would still take him in. What are you thinking about? A few million people might not be willing to come to your company. What's wrong? Is my company unpopular? Your bonus for next month is gone. The company has a bonus. How come I never got one? Zhou Yi and Lu Yu exchanged words, bickering to relieve the stress. The 2 of them had worked hard for the whole day. They worked hard to complete a reconnaissance mission. In the process, Zhou Yi was attacked by a zombie. If it weren't for Lu Yu's quick wits, Zhou Yi would have lost his life. Zhou Yi rubbed his face and said, after completing this mission, we can buy Earth-made bombs. It's a little late today. Tomorrow, we'll bomb the prison. After blowing up the barbed wire on the outside, it will take 2 or 3 days for the zombies inside to disperse. During this time, we'll collect more materials and reinforce the shelter. Lu Yu nodded and became serious. By the way, how's the recruitment going? We've interviewed a few professional players. They're all level 5. We've signed a contract with them. Zhou Yi was desperate to make a name for himself on this server and he didn't hesitate to invest a lot of money. However, after the new server is launched, they'll have to wait another week before they can come in. It won't be that fast. The 2 of them chatted as they walked into the Apocalypse merchant camp. What was going on? Zhou Yi and Lu Yu stopped talking at the same time when they just stepped into the Apocalypse merchant camp. They stopped and looked at each other. Inside the camp, there were messy piles of wooden planks to the left and the right. A few NPC labor workers were busy moving them. Where did these planks come from? When they came here to receive the mission earlier in the morning, there was clearly nothing there. Luyu asked the Apocalypse merchant about the situation. Vettel, why are there so many wooden planks in the camp? It was a survivor who helped me get them. That kid is really amazing. Vettel was in a good mood today. As he checked the accounts and counted the materials, he answered with a smile. With these wooden planks, our camp's leveling plan will be on the agenda very soon. Zhou Yi and Luyu were even more baffled. A player. All these wooden planks were obtained by a player. Impossible. It had only been a few days since the server opened. Not to mention players, which guild had the ability to collect so many wooden planks in such a short time. Perhaps only a big shot like the Federation government had the ability to do so. While Zhou Yi was still in shock, Luyu instinctively thought of something. He swallowed his saliva and asked the Apocalypse merchant in a low voice. Vettel, the player you mentioned, is he called Fang Heng? Vettel put down the account book in his hand and raised his head to look at Luyu. Oh. You know him too. It was indeed Fang Heng. A terrifying god. The sky gradually darkened. Liao Bufan and the others cleaned up the entire first floor of building number 3 during the day. They even specially arranged a relatively clean room for everyone to rest in. Old Man Jimmy seemed to have something on today and logged off early. Finally, we don't have to worry anymore. Liao Bufan gulped down a mouthful of beer, stretched his back and stuffed a piece of roasted meat into his mouth. The taste. It was amazing. Lu Lin was in a corner by the window. She was fiddling with the 2 furnaces that Fang Heng had just exchanged for today, adding firewood and iron waste into them. The furnaces could melt iron ore and iron waste by burning firewood to make iron nuggets. Iron nuggets were the basis of advanced materials in the zombie apocalypse game. For example, nails, which were in short supply when making shelters. At this moment, Lu Lin deeply felt the power of Fang Heng's talent skill. How many days had it been? In the previous server, server number 7, she remembered that the fastest guild had spent half a month to complete the basic production of iron nuggets. As for Fang Heng, it had only been less than a week and he had already started preparing to mass-produce iron nuggets. Thinking about it, it really felt like a dream. Initially, after learning that she had been forcefully pulled into a new server, Lu Lin was still very nervous. However, things had reached this point and everything was progressing exceptionally well. As long as they did not encounter hostile players, the prison could provide them with sufficient security. A small number of zombies could not break into the outermost layer of the barbed wire fence even after scratching the gate for an entire night. The new server's zombie apocalypse that everyone was fearful about seemed to have become exceptionally simple. Lu Lin's gaze unconsciously turned to Fang Heng. He was the one who made all these changes. Fang Heng ate something and started reading the game log. At night, he arranged for the zombies to go to the surrounding area of the prison to cut down the trees. They would only cut down the trees, not move them. He felt that the zombies were too slow, especially when they were carrying heavy loads. In order to increase efficiency, Fang Heng asked the zombies to cut down the trees and asked Liao Bufan to help collect the logs the next day. Even if some players passed by during the day and picked up logs, how much could they collect? Fang Heng was planning his operation for the next day when Liao Bufan coughed to attract everyone's attention. By the way, big brother, now that we have nails and logs, we have enough resources for the shelter. Where are you going to build the shelter? The game provided hundreds of blueprints for the simulated construction of shelters. Players could use the blueprints to build shelters, modify them, or even reconstruct them. Each blueprint required different materials. The larger the shelter, the more materials would be consumed. Fang Heng was already prepared for Liao Bufan's question. We will build it in the basement. In the game, digging 3 feet underground was the safest. Zombies didn't know how to dig underground. Of course, if it really reached the later stage, when the shelter's defense was strong enough, it would slowly extend to the ground. Fang Heng's current architectural layout was to rely on the prison outside to build the shelter. In fact, the building outside the prison was already part of the extension of the shelter, but it was not recognized by the game system. However, the core, as well as the most important part, was to be built in the basement. This was for safety. But there are spider zombies in the basement. Liao Bufan shrunk his neck. He had heard Fang Heng talk about it. The dangerous group in the basement. There were many spider zombies in there. Ordinary players were no match for them at all. Just hearing that there were many spider zombies, Liao Bufan felt a chill down his spine. I've already thought about this. When the flamethrower arrived tomorrow afternoon, he could try to break into the basement. Fang Heng suddenly thought of the mission in the police diary. The hidden mission had just entered the second phase and he had to deal with a difficult group of spider zombies. The difficulty level was a little too high. This meant that the reward must be good. For example, he was rewarded with a pistol in the first phase. Not to mention the possibility of evolution crystals being dropped after killing the spider zombies. While thinking, Fang Heng looked at Liao Bufan. The roast meat tastes good, right? Liao Bufan nodded. It was hard for him to deny this. Then come and help tomorrow afternoon. We'll go to the basement together and deal with the zombies. No way. Big brother, are you serious? Fang Heng, I'm so lucky to have met you. In the Apocalypse merchant camp, Vettel was grinning from ear to ear. But Fang Heng, we don't lack wooden planks anymore. You can go to the other Apocalypse camps and take a look. They still lack a lot of wooden planks. No more. They have already reached the upper limit. A hint of disappointment flashed across Fang Heng's face. He opened the mission panel to confirm. The mission for collecting wooden planks, repeatable, for the Apocalypse merchant camp had disappeared from the mission panel. What a pity. He had originally wanted to empty the Apocalypse merchant camp. He didn't expect the King of Gods to set a limit. Vettel continued, I've mentioned you to the other Apocalypse merchants. They will definitely welcome your arrival. This is my personal map. The locations of their camps are marked on it. This would be helpful to you. Hint, your friendship with Vettel has become stronger. Hint, Vettel has given you a map. You can use the map to navigate the location of the 7 Apocalypse merchant camps. Thank you. Fang Heng took the map and looked at it. The 7 Apocalypse merchant camps marked on the map were all quite far away from here. Even the closest one was more than 200 kilometers away. His shelter hadn't been completed yet, so he couldn't leave. It wasn't practical to go there just to provide the wood. I also have good news for you. Your goods have arrived. Come with me. Hee, I promise, this is good stuff for dealing with zombies. Merchant Vettel brought Fang Heng into the cabin. He took out a wooden box from under the cabinet and put it on the cabinet with a bang. Look, this is the treasure. Fang Heng opened the wooden box, and inside was a bright red focus flamethrower. The focused flamethrower was shaped like a large submachine gun. The difference was that the front end of the muzzle looked like a water pipe, and the mouth of the pipe was big and thick. Fang Heng tried to lift it. It was very heavy and needed to be placed on the shoulder to be used. Hint, you have obtained an item-focused flamethrower M021*1. The zombies would lose consciousness, but most of them are instinctively afraid of fire. This flamethrower is absolutely useful. Vetter bragged and placed a few blue wooden boxes on the counter. Also, this is the fuel for your equipment. Be careful, they are explosive and very heavy. The fuel bottle was a mixture of special gases. After high-pressure sealing, it was very heavy. Vettel finally handed a booklet to Fang Heng. Finally, this is the complimentary instruction manual. Use it carefully to ensure safety. Fang Heng took the booklet. According to the description in the instruction manual, the correct use of the focused flamethrower required the coordination of 2 people at the same time. One controlled the lance of the focus flamethrower and the other controlled the intensity of the flame by lifting the heavy fuel bottle. The zombies' movements were too rigid to coordinate accurately. He'll have to find another tollman to help. There's also the issue of cooling time. He mentally went through the plan to clear the basement. The focused flamethrower would overheat after a period of use. Once the temperature reached 50%, the durability of the flamethrower would be depleted at a fast rate, so it was necessary to keep the temperature below 50% for safe use. In addition, there was fuel. Even with experience, it would take at least 3 minutes to change the fuel at a time. If there were a large number of spider zombies in the passage, the flamethrower alone might not be able to stop them. They didn't have time to change the fuel. What should they do? Got it. Fang Heng raised his head. Vettel, please give me another 20 barrels of gasoline. No problem, here are the 20 barrels of gasoline you asked for. Hint, you have obtained focused flamethrower fuel bottle *20, gasoline *20. At the prison, the entrance to the basement. Liao Bufan was a little flustered. He carefully observed his surroundings and lowered his voice. Fang Heng, are we really going in? Why don't we just forget about it this time? We can just withdraw, right? We don't need to put ourselves at risk, our lives are more important. Don't panic, I have a plan. Fang Heng replied softly. He used the key to open the first 2 iron doors, leaving only the last one. Then, he pressed his ear against the door. Good, there's no sound inside, he thought to himself. The spider zombies didn't block the door. Fang Heng took out a focused flamethrower from his backpack. What the hell? A flamethrower. Liao Bufan was stunned when he saw Fang Heng take out such a powerful weapon from his backpack. I'm so envious. Liao Bufan felt tempted. He reached out his hand to touch the flamethrower, feeling very excited. This is a treasure. Big brother, where did you get it? He had been worried for a long time. It turned out that Fang Heng was prepared. With such a powerful weapon, what was there to be afraid of? Liao Bufan was secretly upset that Fang Heng didn't tell him earlier, causing him to be on tenterhooks for a long time. It's a secret. Come, give me a hand. Fang Heng tried to connect the fuel bottle to the flamethrower and placed the fuel bottle on the ground. It's coming. Liao Bufan helped carry the fuel bottle behind Fang Heng and adjusted the flame setting raft. Fang Heng controlled the switch and direction of the flamethrower. Everything was ready. 3, 2, 1. Fang Heng signaled with his fingers and carefully pushed open the last iron door of the basement. Crack. Inside the iron door, a straight passageway about 30 meters came into view. There was nothing inside the passageway, and at the end, there was a corner to the right. After the corner was an invisible blind spot. The two of them exchanged a glance. Liao Bufan turned his head to look at Fang Heng. What should we do? Shoo. Fang Heng raised his hand to signal Liao Bufan to keep quiet. He waved his hand. The 5 zombie clones following the 2 of them walked into the passageway. They staggered forward until they reached the end of the straight passageway. The zombie clones stopped, then slowly took out wooden frames from their backpacks and put them on the ground. Wooden frames. What are they trying to do? Looking at the zombies, Liao Bufan murmured in a low voice, his eyes filled with confusion. After 5 minutes, the zombies piled 50 to 60 wooden frames at the corner, blocking almost half of the passageway. After the wooden frames were piled up, the zombies took out a bottle of gasoline, opened the lid and poured it on the wooden frames. In the end, the zombie clones slowly poured the remaining gasoline along the passageway towards where Fang Heng was standing. Liao Bufan felt that he understood something, but he didn't seem to understand it completely. He looked at Fang Heng and asked in a low voice. Will there be a problem? Do you want to burn this place down? Of course, it's not a problem. Uncle Jimmy has checked the structure of this place. It's all bare steel and concrete. It won't burn down the place. That's good. Liao Bufan heaved a sigh of relief. It wasn't easy to build a shelter. It would be a pity if it was accidentally burned down. Fang Heng temporarily placed the flamethrower on the ground and asked, "Are you ready?" Liao Bufan gave Fang Heng a thumbs up. Yes. Fang Heng controlled the zombie clones to leave the underground passageway. He carefully walked 5 steps into the passageway and took out a small stone from his backpack. SSHHH. Fang Heng threw the stone toward the end of the passageway. Pa. Da-da-da-da. The stone hit the ground and made a series of sounds. 1 second, 2 seconds. Crack, crack. 3 seconds later, the sound of something rubbing against the wall came from inside the passageway. Fang Heng turned around and ran. He grabbed the flamethrower on the ground and placed it on his shoulder. He turned around and aimed the flamethrower at the front of the passageway. Crack. Crack. Crack! The sound approached in an instant. A drop of cold sweat dripped down Liao Bufan's face as he stared at the entrance of the passageway. D***MN it. How did this create such a big commotion? How many spider zombies are there in this passageway? He thought nervously to himself. Liao Bufan's heart couldn't help but beat faster. The first spider zombie came around the corner and appeared in their sight. It climbed directly towards the two of them from the side along the left wall. It was extremely fast. It was covering a distance of 30 meters within a short period. Liao Bufan's face was pale as he shouted. Fang Heng. Fang Heng didn't move. His eyes were fixed on the corner. Over there, zombie spiders were crazily climbing out of the four walls. There were too many of them, and they were too fast. They even knocked away many wooden frames blocking the passageway. Just wait a bit more. Fang Heng pressed his index finger on the trigger. He could hear his own heartbeat. He wanted to kill as many spider zombies as possible. A large number of spider zombies rushed out from the corner. The first spider zombie that rushed out from the corner had already picked up the smell of human flesh. Its twisted limbs exerted a force on the wall and its whole body rose abruptly from the ground. Pest! The spider zombie flew up and was ready to pounce on Fang Heng. Liao Bufan exclaimed. Fang Heng! Hurry! The spider zombie was about to move its claws. Fang Heng steadily held the flamethrower and pressed the trigger with his index finger. Boom! The flamethrower roared. A long strip of pale blue high-temperature flame was spat out from the mouth of the flamethrower. The spider zombie that was charging straight at the mouth of the flamethrower was hit directly by the flame. Squeak! The spider zombie let out a strange cry. Its entire body was instantly ignited and burned intensely. Its entire body was sent flying backward. Pa! The zombie fell to the ground. Its body kept twisting and struggling on the ground. The flame on its body could not be extinguished and it kept squeaking miserably. It wasn't completely dead after being burned by the flamethrower. The mutated zombies were really troublesome. Fang Heng secretly clenched his teeth. He had no time to care about how much damage the burning had done. More spider zombies skimmed over the burning spider zombie which was rolling on the ground. They rushed toward Fang Heng one after another. Fang Heng! There are too many. Liao Bufan's forehead was full of sweat. He immediately turned the fire valve to its maximum power. Fang Heng heard him. He didn't have the time to answer. He gritted his teeth and controlled the flames to drive off the spider zombies. Squeak! Squeak! The spider zombies that came after him weren't afraid of death. They jumped into the sea of fire one by one and were burned by the high temperature of the flames. Their bodies were on fire and they rolled backwards. Fang Heng! Seeing that more and more spider zombies were coming, Liao Bufan shouted out his name. It's not good. Prepare to retreat. There are too many of them. Half of the fuel has been consumed. Fang Heng raised his eyebrows. Retreat, over my dead body. Fang Heng thought to himself. The word retreat was not in this plan at all. The flamethrower's output was strong, the firepower was fierce and it was exhilarating using it. But how could the fuel be consumed so quickly? In the video Fang Heng saw in his memory, that player used the focused flamethrower to burn for nearly half an hour before he ran out of a can of fuel. How long had it been? Could it be that the product Vettel sold him was inferior? How can it be used so quickly? How can it be so fast? Liao Bufan was burning with anxiety. He shouted, "We've always adjusted the maximum power. Otherwise, we wouldn't have been able to hold on for long." Got it. Fang Heng quickly understood. In the video that he saw in his memory, the player was dealing with almost all ordinary zombies. Only one or two mutated zombies would appear occasionally. There was no need to use the maximum power to deal with such a situation. As for him, he was dealing with all spider zombies. Fang Heng wanted to farm for a while more. There was no other way. He was running out of fuel. Fang Heng had no choice but to tilt the flame nozzle and aim at the gasoline on the other side of the ground. Boom! The gasoline on the ground was ignited. The flame quickly moved forward along the gasoline. The wooden frames that blocked the corner at the end of the passageway were also ignited in an instant and started to burn fiercely. The burning wooden frames had formed a wall of fire in a short period of time. The spider zombies were very afraid of fire. The burning corner of the passageway had cut off the spider zombies that were coming. Seeing that, Liao Bufan's eyes lit up. He understood. So that's how those wooden frames are used. It's F*King awesome. It turns out that everything was part of the boss plan. The corner of Liao Bufan's mouth curled up and his tensed mind relaxed a little. F*CK, I was worried for nothing again. Without the continuous stream of spider zombies joining the battlefield, the pressure on Fang Heng and Liao Bufan was greatly reduced. Now, they only needed to get rid of the remaining spider zombies that were not completely dead. The flamethrower had reached a dangerous temperature of 91%. Fang Heng had no choice but to temporarily close the valve on hand. If he continued forcefully, the durability and even the upper limit of the flamethrower would be greatly reduced. The flames stopped for a while. Liao Bufan vigilantly looked at the spider zombies in front of him. The squeaking sounds of the spider zombies were everywhere and the air was filled with the smell of rotting and burnt flesh. It was like hell. Some of the zombies were writhing on the ground, while others were trying to escape. They tried to run back, but were stopped by the wall of fire behind them. The remaining ones were the most troublesome ones. Even though their bodies were burning with flames, they were still rushing toward Fang Heng. Boom. Less than half a minute later, the flamethrower's nozzle was still at 89% critical temperature. Fang Heng had no choice but to press the switch again. Fang Heng, there's still a quarter of the fuel left. Liao Bufan said as he quickly reduced the flame efficiency slightly. Fang Heng frowned. Mutated zombies were troublesome. Even the spider zombies with low HP and low fire resistance were still so difficult to deal with. Even with his flamethrower, they were not able to defeat most of the spider zombies. Leveling up was really too difficult. Fang Heng was glad that he had planned and used the artificial firewall to block the entrance to the rear passageway. Soon, the number of spider zombies began to decrease significantly. The pressure on Fang Heng and Liao Bufan also gradually lessened. Liao Bufan, how much fuel do we have left? Liao Bufan reached out his hand to wipe away the large beads of sweat that were dripping down his forehead. 9.3%. Fang Heng nodded. That was enough. 3/4 of this group of spider zombies had died, so they were no longer a threat. While Fang Heng was controlling the switch of the flamethrower, he was also taking a peek at the game log. The game log had already been refreshed. Hint: player has successfully killed the spider zombie. Player has obtained 23 survival points. Hint: player has successfully killed the spider zombie. Player has obtained 33 survival points. Hint: player has obtained a complete evolution crystal *1. Hint: player has successfully killed the spider zombie. Player has obtained 33 survival points. Among the mutated zombies, spider zombies were considered to be the higher level type. Therefore, the probability of them dropping complete evolution crystals was higher. Fang Heng took a quick glance and saw that there were at least 5 or 6 of them. It was enough for him to level up to level 7. 5 minutes later, the last spider zombie completely lost its breath under the burning flames. Coincidentally, the tank of fuel was used up. The entire passageway was filled with charred corpses. Under the corpses, there were still red specks on the ground, emitting a bloody glow. These were the evolution crystals that the spider zombies had dropped after they died. Fang Heng stretched out his hand. Swoosh. 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 The evolution crystals that were left on the ground flew into Fang Heng's hand one by one. Hint: you have obtained the complete evolution crystal *15. Fang Heng turned his head to look at Liao Bufan. Let's go out first. While the wooden frames at the entrance of the passage were still burning and the flame barrier still had a protective effect, Fang Heng and Liao Bufan quickly exited the passageway. Outside the passageway, Fang Heng locked the 3 iron doors tightly. Liao Bufan's short sleeve was already soaked completely in sweat. He had been under tremendous psychological pressure during the battle just now. Not to mention that the high temperature caused by the flames made the entire basement as unbearable as a furnace. It was so hot. Liao Bufan and Fang Heng looked as if they had just been lifted from the waters. Liao Bufan leaned against the wall and sat down limply. He felt that he had just visited the gates of hell not long ago. Fortunately, he was lucky. Sigh. Liao Bufan let out a long sigh. He seemed to be moved by something. Boss, you owe me a pay rise. After Fang Heng locked the 3 doors firmly, he sat down beside Liao Bufan. At this time, he could finally relax and rest. You have a point. Fang Heng said as he took out the evolution crystal fragments from his backpack. He opened his palm and handed them to Liao Bufan. Is this enough? Crystal fragments. So many. Liao Bufan's eyes lit up when he saw these shiny evolution crystal fragments. Enough, boss is generous. Liao Bufan, who was originally dejected, immediately put on a smiling face. He grabbed the evolution crystal fragments from Fang Heng and crushed them in his hand. Liao Bufan had reached level 4. Fang Heng sat on the ground and started to read the game log. He counted the profits from cleaning the prison's basement. He killed 57 spider zombies and obtained 17 complete evolution crystals. Not bad. Fang Heng held the evolution crystals in his hand. Bang. A thick red aura burst out from his palm and merged into his body. Bang. Bang. For a moment, the pathway was filled with the sound of crystals shattering. Liao Bufan was watching Fang Heng absorb the power of the evolution crystals with envy. Look at him. He's starting to level up. With this stance, he was probably about to reach level 10, right? Even though he was envious, Liao Bufan was still very satisfied. After all, Fang Heng was an exception. Why would he compare himself with him? Liao Bufan thought to himself that he had already reached level 4. At this stage of the game, how many players could reach level 4? He was also a top player. If he hadn't met Fang Heng, he might still be gnawing on tree roots somewhere. Liao Bufan thought happily. He took out 2 cans of beer from his backpack, handed one to Fang Heng and started to drink from his can. Hint, your character level has been upgraded to level 7. Hint, due to the enhancement of your talent skill-splitting zombie clone, you have gained an additional zombie clone *7. After absorbing the power of the evolution crystals, Fang Heng's level was successfully upgraded to level 7. He was about a quarter away from level 8. The cement floor beside Fang Heng's feet began to twist. A red magic array emerged from the ground. Chi. A greenish-gray arm suddenly reached out from the magic array. The zombie clones came out from the magic array one by one and stood behind Fang Heng. There were 7 of them in total. A moment later, the magic array disappeared. Fang Heng waved his hand and told the zombies to run outside to collect materials. He would be able to reach level 8 soon by gaining the remaining quarter of experience points. If he was lucky enough, he might be able to reach level 9 today if there were enough spider zombies in the passageway. Thinking of that, Fang Heng suddenly felt energized. Have you rested enough? Are you ready to start the next wave? No way. Boss. I haven't rested enough yet. Liao Bufan took out another can of beer and looked at Fang Heng eagerly. Why don't we rest a little longer? The next day at noon. In the basement passageway. Fang Heng waved his hand and attracted the evolution crystals on the ground to his palm. Bang. 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 The evolution crystals exploded one after another. The scarlet mist was instantly absorbed by Fang Heng. Hint, your character level has been upgraded to level 9. Hint, due to the enhancement of your talent skill-splitting zombie clone, you have gained an additional zombie clone *9. Now, after his character level had been upgraded to level 9, Fang Heng had a total of 45 zombie clones. Compared to the past 2 days, his overall strength had almost doubled. The efficiency of gathering materials had also doubled. Phew. The last batch of spiders is finally gone. Liao Bufan let out a sigh of relief with his bare arms. He sat on the ground with a sense of relief. Beside him were more than 10 empty fuel tanks. Half an hour had passed and no more spider zombies were emerging from the right corner of the corridor. Including yesterday afternoon and this morning, Fang Heng and Liao Bufan had scrubbed the basement passageway 5 to 6 times. Let's go in and take a look. After a short rest, they loaded new fuel bottles and continued to explore. Fang Heng held the flamethrower and walked in front. He carefully walked around the corner and took a few more steps forward. A fork appeared in front of him. The fork was divided into a straight path forward and another path to the left. The straight path ahead was cut off by 3 lowered iron gates. Through the gap between the iron railings, Fang Heng looked inside. Behind the 3 iron gates seemed to be a staircase leading down. It seemed that there was a deeper passageway below. Why is the basement of this prison so deep? Liao Bufan also noticed the staircase and could not help but twitch his lips. Fang Heng, on the other hand, frowned and whispered, "That's strange. What's wrong?" Fang Heng took out the map of the prison that he had found on the first floor from his backpack and compared it with the terrain of the scene. "Look, our position on the map is here. This is the marked warehouse. There's no problem here. It's just on our right. There's no problem here either. The passageway that turns left in front is connected to the basement of building number 2. Liao Bufan leaned over to take a look. It was just as Fang Heng said. He soon discovered the problem. The passageway in front of us isn't marked on the map. Yes, and the map doesn't indicate that there's a second basement in the prison. Fang Heng checked the map repeatedly to confirm. He then used his hand to pry the railings of the iron gate to check. The iron gate was unusually heavy and strong. On the wall of the iron gate, there was an electronic identification device where a card could be inserted. The 3 iron gates should be controlled by magnetic cards. Ugh. Fang Heng muttered to himself. Then, he took out a small hammer from his backpack and threw it at the iron gate. Bang. -14. The iron gate had about 750,000 HP. Fang Heng made a rough estimation in his mind. With the indefatigable zombie clones, it wasn't impossible to break it open. However, the time spent was too long, and the gains didn't make up for the losses. Hint: currently, the target that is selected to be disassembled is a special item. It is triggered by a mission. If it is destroyed by force, the mission item may be destroyed. The mission will disappear or fail. Please be careful. Alright. Looks like I can't open it with brute force. Fang Heng shrugged and put away the small stone hammer. He completely dismissed the idea of using brute force. Let's go. We'll go somewhere else to take a look first. After returning to the fork, Fang Heng walked to the right to investigate. There was an iron gate. However, this iron gate was open. The iron gate hung high up. When the electronic lock was triggered, the iron gate would be lowered, completely cutting off the passageway between building number 2 and building number 3. Liao Bufan stuck his head out and looked inside the passageway. It was pitch black inside. The power supply in building number 2 is broken. Do you want to go in and take a look? No, I'm not interested. Liao Bufan quickly retracted his head. Exploring in the dark was courting death. Any mutated zombie could kill him. I think the spider zombies we met before probably came out from this place. I think so too. There might be more mutated zombies inside. We'd better find a way to seal this place. The two of them discussed and returned to the warehouse room in front of the fork in the passage. Fang Heng tried to turn the door handle. The door was locked. Key. Yes. A set of keys was left by the foolish policeman. Fang Heng tried unlocking the door with the keys. Soon, he found the key to the warehouse door. He carefully pushed open the door. In the warehouse, 6 bodies were lying on the ground. They had been dead for a while. 5 of them were wearing prison guard uniforms, but the middle-aged man in the middle was wearing a suit. He was a little fat and held a pistol in his hand. He had killed himself with his pistol. Was it the warden? Fang Heng had seen the warden's photo in his memory. It was similar to this middle-aged man who had committed suicide. The warden's appearance here was too sudden. Was there a clue on him? Fang Heng tried to walk forward and pull out the pistol in the warden's hand. Then, he tried to touch his pocket. Sure enough, there was something. Hint: you have obtained the Prison Management Magnetic Card C. Item: Prison Management Magnetic Card C. Description: Special Mission Item. It can open the iron gate found in the prison's basement. Fang Heng immediately thought of the iron gate he saw just now. Needless to say, this magnetic card could control the iron gate. Then, Fang Heng dug into the pockets of the other guards and confiscated all their firearms. Hint: you have obtained the prison guard's handgun *5, ordinary handgun bullets *243. Fang Heng, come and take a look. Liao Bufan, who was searching around the room, shouted. His tone was full of surprise. Look. Good stuff. Liao Bufan pointed at the locked weapon box. Do you have the key in your hand? Fang Heng suddenly understood and took out the set of keys. The lock on the weapon box was very different from the lock on the door. Fang Heng quickly found the corresponding key and opened the weapon box with a click. Hint: you have received sniper rifle *3, you have received sniper rifle bullets *120. F***. It's a sniper rifle. Liao Bufan couldn't help but shout out. We're rich. In the game, sniper rifles were a great weapon. It was the same regardless of the early, middle and late stages in the game. After hitting the player, it almost had a 100% crippling effect. If it grazed the arm, one of the arms would be blown off, and if it grazed the scalp, the head would be split open. Fang Heng couldn't help but reach out to touch the muzzle of the rifle. It was indeed a good item. In his memory, the sniper rifle only appeared in the later stages of the game. After changing to armor-piercing bullets, it was one of the few guns that could deal damage to the Corpse King. The Federation had given the gun data before. For an average player to fully control this weapon, they would need to attain at least level 10 gun mastery and 10 strength points. Hint: you have completed the second stage of the mission Explore the Basement. Hint: you have obtained 540 survival points. Hint: the third stage of the mission has been triggered. Mission: explore the second basement of the prison. Mission name: explore the second basement of the prison. Mission description: you have discovered an unmarked hidden area in the basement of the prison. It leads to the second basement. Please try to enter the second basement without destroying the main building of the prison. Mission reward: survival points. Fang Heng lowered his head and thought for a moment after receiving the mission. Let's go and try the magnetic card first. Fang Heng patted Liao Bufan's shoulder. The two of them returned to the front of the iron gate again. Fang Heng tried to insert the magnetic card into the slot on the wall. Beep beep beep. Verified. Boom. The iron gate connecting building number 2 and building number 3 slowly descended. Liao Bufan looked at the darkness behind the iron gate and could not help but swallow his saliva. I keep feeling like there's something scary inside. Closing the gate makes me feel a lot better. Fang Heng felt the same way. He vaguely felt that something was staring at them in the darkness, making him feel uneasy. After closing the iron gate, the feeling of being stared at became much weaker. Yes, we'll deal with building number 2 in the future. In short, we can build the shelter in peace. Liao Bufan nodded repeatedly. They could finally rest for the next few days. Before he left, Fang Heng went to the other passageway to test it out. After some testing, the magnetic card found in the warden's hand could open one of the 3 iron gates leading to the second basement. As for the remaining 2 iron gates, they were still closed. According to Fang Heng's years of gaming experience, he felt that the remaining 2 magnetic cards could only be found by entering building number 1 and building number 2. How troublesome. What kind of secret was hidden in this prison? It was only the second stage of this mission and they had to face a large number of mutated zombies. The difficulty level for the third stage would be even higher. Fang Heng scratched his head in annoyance. At the moment, forcefully exploring buildings number 1 and 2 was too dangerous. They could only wait until the shelter was completed. Fang Heng decided to put the hidden prison mission aside for now. At least after cutting off the passageway between buildings number 2 and 3, they could temporarily enjoy a period of peace. Next, they were only one step away from building the shelter. Nails. The number of furnaces needed to make nails was not enough, so they needed to buy more. After killing spider zombies for a day, they had more than 10,000 survival points, which was enough to buy all the remaining furnaces in the Apocalypse merchant shop. With that thought, Fang Heng and Liao Bufan left the basement together. This. Can someone tell me what happened here? On the small slope outside the prison, Lu Yu and Zhou Yi were shocked. Where were the zombies? They had worked hard to complete the mission and finally bought the Earth-made bombs from the Apocalypse merchant. They were about to come back and blow a hole in the prison's barbed wire fence to release the zombies. Everything was ready. But where were the zombies? Where did the zombies go? The entire prison was empty. Not even half of the zombies could be seen. Could it be? Although Lu Yu already had the answer in his head, he still couldn't help but ask Zhou Yi for confirmation. Could it be that someone cleaned up this prison area and took over this prison for themselves? Lu Yu felt that this was the closest answer to the truth. Zhou Yi didn't say anything. He stood on the small slope in a daze, his eyes a little dull. Lu Yu nudged Zhou Yi. "Ah-yi. Wake up. Wake up quickly." "Ha." Zhou Yi came back to his senses. His mouth was bitter as he smiled self-mockingly. Were all the players so strong these days? They could single-handedly take care of so many zombies. Or was he too weak? He had been dealt too many blows in the past few days. Now, even the prison mission that he had been planning for so long was taken away by someone. What a disgrace. Zhou Yi felt that he was struck by a blow. He even began to seriously doubt himself. He felt that he should not have chosen the new server's zombie apocalypse as the company's new goal. "Boss, don't worry. Even if someone cleaned up the prison square, the mission might not have been triggered yet." Seeing that Zhou Yi didn't look right, Lu Yu hurriedly tried to console him. Building number 3 is also very dangerous. No matter how fast that player is, he can't possibly clean up both the prison square and building number 3 together. "Yes, you're right." Zhou Yi patted his cheeks to cheer himself up. He hadn't lost yet. He couldn't afford to lose. Now, his entire company was betting on this game. Failure meant that all the years of hard work had been in vain and the family business had been destroyed in his hands. It wasn't time to admit defeat yet. Zhou Yi forced himself to cheer up. "Let's go into building number 3 together and check it out. Confirm that inside." Zhou Yi stopped mid-sentence. He saw that a window on the second floor of building number 3 had been opened from inside. Then, a chubby head popped out from inside. It was a survivor. He stuck his head out from the window in boredom and looked out at the scenery. He held a skewer of grilled meat in his left hand and a bottle of beer in his right hand. He looked like he had nothing to worry about. Seeing this, Zhou Yi fell into silence once again. The confidence that he had just built up was instantly destroyed by more than half. Lu Yu was also unable to say anything for a long time. Now, they could be sure that not only the entire prison square, even building number 3 had been completely cleaned up by a group of players. Moreover, this group of people were living quite comfortably. "Cheer up, boss." Even so, it can only mean that they cleaned up building number 3. We still have a chance. What if they didn't find the diary left by the prison officers? That thing was hidden so well. Building number 3 is so big and there are so many cabinets on the second floor. Ordinary people wouldn't even think of going to the mezzanine. Yes, there was still hope. "I haven't lost yet." Zhou Yi raised his head again and muttered to himself as if he was trying to convince himself. "Come, let's go in and talk to the people inside." The two of them walked down the slope and waved at Liao Bufan at the window on the second floor. Liao Bufan saw the two sneaky people, threw away the beer bottle and jumped off the platform on the second floor. He carefully walked forward and asked through the 3 layers of barbed wire. "Hey, you two have been watching over there for a long time, right? What are you here for?" Zhou Yi adjusted his emotions and stood outside the barbed wire to maintain a safe distance from Liao Bufan. "Hello, we have no bad intentions. I am the boss of Soaring Gaming Technology Company. I happen to pass by here and want to discuss a collaboration with your boss. Is your boss inside now?" In his heart, Zhou Yi had already tacitly acknowledged that the other party was a gaming company or a player guild team. Zhou Yi frowned. "Eh? Boss. You're here to look for Fang Heng." Fang Heng. This name shocked Zhou Yi and Lu Yu. It was him. That god. What the hell? So it wasn't a gaming company. It was God. He cleared out the entire prison. But on second thought, it made sense. Besides him, who else could empty the entire prison square and the zombies in building number 3? Zhou Yi felt bitter in his heart. After all this time, it was still him. Lu Yu had an idea and quickly replied. Right. We're all friends of Fang Heng. I've added him as a friend before. My name is Lu Yu. Liao Bufan rolled his eyes. He turned on his survival radio and sent an emergency message to Fang Heng. Coincidentally, Fang Heng was still in the prison today. Liao Bufan, Fang Heng, someone said that they're from some company and they're here to work with you. One of them said that he's your friend, Lu Yu. Fang Heng, there is such a person. Take them to the sentry cabin first. I'll be right there. After receiving Fang Heng's confirmation, Liao Bufan nodded to Lu Yu and Fang Heng. All right then, follow me to the cabin. Liao Bufan said as he took out a pistol from his backpack and pointed it at the cabin on the side. Let's be clear, don't try to play any tricks. When he saw Liao Bufan taking out the pistol, Zhou Yi's heart jumped. Gun. He turned to look at Lu Yu. It was a gun. The mission that they had spent money to buy stated that the reward for completing the first stage of the prison's hidden mission was a pistol. Lu Yu did not notice Zhou Yi's gaze and asked in surprise, You already have a gun. Hee, not bad, right? I found it in the prison. When Zhou Yi heard that, his face turned ashen and he could not say a word. It was over. It was all over. The prison guard's diary must have been discovered. What was worse was that they had even completed the first stage of the mission and found the safe that the prison guard had left behind. All their efforts over the past few days had been in vain. Lu Yu's smile was abnormally awkward. Then you guys are amazing. Hee, isn't that right? The surprised expressions on the two people's faces made Liao Bufan feel quite pleased. These 2 days, he had also been greatly triggered by Fang Heng. He needed to find a place to vent his frustration and calm his mind. These two people were not bad at all. Liao Bufan continued to brag about himself. Good fellow, you guys don't know that this prison is not that simple. There is a basement inside. The expression on both Lu Yu and Zhou Yi changed in unison. Basement. The basement of the second stage of the mission was extremely difficult. One had to pass through a long passageway in the basement. Could it be? Could it be that he has already started working on the second stage of the mission? Hee. Liao Bufan laughed and kept them guessing. Why don't you guess what's in the basement? You'll never guess. Zhou Yi quickly asked. What's in there? Let me tell you, it's full of spider zombies. Those things are much stronger than normal mutant zombies. D*MN. There were so many spider zombies in the entire tunnel. You should have seen them. TSK, tisk. So. Zhou Yi carefully looked at Liao Bufan and asked him for confirmation. So, you all didn't pass through the basement. How is that possible? It's just a spider zombie. They're just unlucky to meet me. Liao Bufan told the two about how he had killed the spider zombies and also tried to weaken Fang Heng's role in this operation. You killed all those spider zombies by yourself. Zhou Yi showed a terrified expression. Then, he felt helpless. In this shelter, Fang Heng was already very strong, but his companion was also so strong. Why was this game so hard to play? Zhou Yi's desire to retire became stronger and stronger. At this time, Fang Heng pushed the door open and entered. So it's you two. Fang Heng was familiar with these two people. In his memory, he had met them twice outside the Apocalypse merchant camp. I heard you want to work with me. Lu Yu looked at Zhou Yi, who was silent. He was dealt with a heavy blow. At first, he did want to seek cooperation. But now, he knew that Fang Heng had already completed both stages of the hidden mission. What was there to cooperate? He didn't know what to do for the follow-up of the mission. Unless he continued to spend money and buy information from those black agents. Do you want to cooperate? Fang Heng saw that the two of them were quiet, so he broke the silence first. Then how about this? I have a job here, and I want to find someone to help. I think you guys are pretty good. A job. Help. Zhou Yi and Lu Yu looked at each other. After more than 20 minutes, they walked out of the sentry cabin. It was strange. They were looking for Fang Heng to cooperate with them to complete the hidden mission in the beginning. How did it turn into working for someone else in the blink of an eye? Sigh. Zhou Yi let out a long sigh. The price offered by the other party was too hard to refuse. 2 days later. In the prison's basement. Fang Heng stood at the inner side of the pathway. He opened the game construction page and finally adjusted the location of the shelter. Let's do it here. After thinking for a while, he finally set the shelter next to the underground warehouse. Hint: the player has decided on the location of the shelter. The location is confirmed to be ready for construction. Hint: after the construction is completed, all items in the location will be cleared. Hint: your shelter blueprint, modified, has been modified. It has been determined to be a basic super large shelter. Maximum expansion can be made later. Currently, you will need to consume wooden planks *29, 813, wooden frames *26, 712, nails *68, 91, iron blocks *90, small stones *66, 71, firewood *27, 111. Player, do you want to build it? Not a problem. Fang Heng reached out to confirm. The concrete wall in front of him gradually turned into a basic wooden door. Hint: player's shelter has been built and modified. Fang Heng pushed the door open and entered. The inner area of the shelter was very large. There was only a complete hall, which was half the size of a football field. Currently, there was nothing in the hall except for a few pillars that were used to support it. Specifically, the interior could be divided into small rooms later. This step could be modified through the blueprint later. It only required some materials, which was not difficult. Fang Heng could also use more materials to cover the wider area around the shelter. Or he could use more advanced materials to strengthen the shelter. Hint: the system has determined that your shelter can accommodate up to 18 players. If you exceed the capacity, your shelter will be more vulnerable to zombie attacks at night. At the same time, all the players in District 8, including Fang Heng, received 2 simple messages in their game logs. Hint: the first super large player shelter has been established. Hint: the next Blood Moon zombie wave will occur in 21 days. Most ordinary players automatically ignored these 2 messages. However, on a certain high-threshold elite player forum, these 2 messages were immediately reposted and topped the list, causing a huge uproar. The more they understood the zombie apocalypse game, the more they felt that this piece of news was terrifying. How many days had passed since the game started? There was an influential power that had already established a super-large shelter. In the past, the first to establish a super-large shelter must have been the federal government. Only they had powerful manpower and resources. But this time, the tradition was broken. The federal government did not issue an announcement, which meant that this shelter was not established by the Federation. There was someone who could complete it before the Federation. Who could it be? Which large guild or gaming company? Why didn't any news leak out? There was a lot of discussion for this post. The server for District 8 had opened for less than 10 days and the players had already established the shelter. This was a historical event. The internet was buzzing with discussion about this matter. In reality, the players' clubs and the directors and bosses of gaming companies who were familiar with each other began to probe one another. Brother Liu, congratulations. You're the first to complete a super large shelter. Please take care of us in the future. It's not me. I'm also wondering who could be so amazing. If it wasn't you, who else could it be? We've been friends for so many years and you're still playing games with me. I'm not lying to you. It can't be you, right? You want to turn the tables on me. Everyone was waiting for any company to announce the news. However, after waiting for a long time, the forum was still silent. No one claimed it. No one knew who established this shelter. Except for Lu Yu and Zhou Yi. The 2 of them looked at each other on their motorcycles. After a long silence, Zhou Yi's throat rolled. It can't be him, right? Lu Yu shrugged. Who else could it be? D*MN. We can't play this game anymore. There are 21 days until the zombie wave. You have to think carefully. Should we build our shelter or what? Zhou Yi took a deep breath. He tried hard to get rid of distracting thoughts, forcing himself not to think about Fang Heng. In a few days, when a new batch of employees arrives, we'll build a small shelter first. Okay. Luyu nodded. They had to hurry. After the first super-large player shelter was built, the King of Gods would give an early warning of the next Blood Moon zombie wave. There were only 21 days left. This meant that they had to complete the construction of the shelter within 21 days. The Federation had released statistics 3 years ago. In the zombie apocalypse game, during the first 6 months of the game's launch, the death rate of players who did not stay in an effective shelter during the day of the Blood Moon was as high as 70%. Even if they stayed in the shelter, the death rate still exceeded 20%. Very few guilds had chosen to build super-large shelters because of the Blood Moon zombie wave. Rather than wait for death in a super-large shelter, it would be better to build a small shelter. Hint: as the first player in this world to complete a super-large shelter, you have obtained a random B-class skill book *1 reward. Hint: you have obtained a skill book, Animal Instinct Danger Perception, Soul Binding. There's such a good thing. I've never heard of it before. Fang Heng muttered to himself. There was a skill book in his backpack. Item: Animal Instinct Danger Perception, Soul Binding. Type: skill book, player has not mastered this skill. Description: skill that can be mastered after learning, Animal Instinct Danger Perception, player's basic perception attribute +10, it is easier for the player to detect the impending danger. Description: soul binding, not tradable. Good stuff. I got basic attribute 10 points just like that. Fang Heng tapped the skill book on his head and a faint light lit up. Hint: player's learning skill, Animal Instinct Danger Perception, level, max. Hint: under the influence of the skill, your basic perception attribute +10. After learning the skill, Fang Heng immediately noticed the change. It was an indescribable feeling. He felt that the world seemed to have become clearer. He could see clearer than before, and he could hear further. Perhaps this was the effect of the perception ability. In actual combat, I should be able to aim more accurately using the gun than before, right? Fang Heng shrugged, quickly getting used to this change. According to the plan, Fang Heng would only temporarily use the shelter as a storage point. He, Liao Bufan, Lu Lin and the others would stay in the prison's building number 3 for now. After all, the basement was a bit far from the ground, and running up and down was troublesome. It's finally done. Step by step, he had reached this day. Looking at the newly built shelter, Fang Heng still had a great sense of achievement. Building the shelter is only the first step. Fang Heng whispered. He had a foothold in the game now. He was still far from a real foothold. Fang Heng cheered up. Next, it was time to think about recruiting. Fang Heng walked to the corner of the shelter and opened the construction page. Item: large survival radio station. Description: there are still a lot of survivors in the apocalypse. You can try to summon them through the survival radio station. Construction requirement 1, player has a small or higher level shelter. Construction requirement 2, player's basic production level must be level 3 or above. Fang Heng spent 10 minutes completing a large survival radio station and placed it in the corner of the shelter. The survivors in the description referred to ordinary NPCs. As the owner of the shelter, Fang Heng could recruit NPCs through the survival radio station to work for the shelter. Ordinary NPCs only had the most common skills, such as felling, manufacturing and so on. They did not have the same talent as players. Their basic attributes were no different from rookie players level 1. Moreover, their learning ability was low and the efficiency of upgrading skills was extremely slow. They also had a limit to their energy points. They needed rest, food, and clean houses to live in. Once these things were lacking, their sense of belonging would be reduced. Once it was reduced to a certain limit, the survivor NPCs would choose to leave the shelter voluntarily, which would affect the popularity of the shelter. Fang Heng felt that when these ordinary NPCs worked, they would be attacked by the zombies and split into pieces. As long as Fang Heng dared to let them go out and search for materials, they would die in the wild. 100% mortality rate. Although these survivors had great limitations, they also had advantages. They had much higher intelligence and loyalty than the zombie clones. Fang Heng was sure of one thing. Players would betray them. But the NPCs that were controlled by the system would never betray them. In the game, there were more than 1 or 2 incidents where a large guild exposed a certain player's betrayal. Large-scale incidents such as Mission, Impossible, Honey Trap, Black and White and Infernal Affairs happened almost once or twice a year. Even the federal government intervened. It was common for some large companies to be betrayed and go bankrupt. All kinds of events would cause a stir among the players and become the gossip of the public. There were too many scandals. Fang Heng had made plans for his future. He would use NPCs to act as guards of the shelter to eliminate internal threats. Fang Heng walked to the radio station and turned on the survival radio to inquire. Shelter owner, Fang Heng. Shelter level, super large. Shelter attractiveness, 29. This value is related to shelter size, resources, military strength, cleanliness, and the satisfaction of the people in the shelter. The current number of survivors available for recruitment, 3. Every 3 days, 3 survivors will be available for recruitment. The current maximum number of survivors stored, 29. Description: the more attractive a shelter is, the easier it is to attract survivors to seek refuge. Once a survivor leaves the shelter, the number will decrease slightly for some time. This was Fang Heng's first time coming into contact with the game recruitment system. In his memory, in the previous server, he had only built a small single-person shelter, so he was unable to recruit survivors. The more troublesome thing was that NPC survivors were also counted by heads. With one more NPC survivor, the shelter's capacity would be +1. What was worse was that the newly recruited survivors were all hungry. In the early stages, normal players really could not afford to feed them. Fang Heng waved his hand and recruited all 3 survivor NPCs through the radio station. Anyway, he had the zombie clones now, so the shelter had plenty of materials, so it was not a problem to provide food for these refugees. Because of the existence of the zombie clones, they did not need so many ordinary NPC survivors. They only needed a few people to maintain the cleanliness and daily operations of the shelter. At most, they could wait until the shelter was expanded before continuing to recruit more. After the recruitment was completed, they could do all the chores and transportation in the prison. They were much smarter than the zombie clones and they worked very hard. Soon, 3 refugees appeared at the entrance of the prison. Fang Heng brought them back to building number 3 of the prison and gave them enough food. Thank you so much. The zombies outside are too scary. I haven't eaten for days. I will repay you. Thank you, Fang Heng. Thank you so much for letting us stay in the shelter. We will do our best. A blonde female survivor was very grateful and thanked Fang Heng. I have plenty of food here, but this is not for free. You need to work for the shelter in exchange for protection. Fang Heng pointed to the hall on the first floor. I need you to be responsible for cleaning up and sorting out the materials. Clean up a few rooms as soon as possible. You can each choose a room to live in. Okay, we will do it as soon as possible. In the Apocalypse World game, 2 types of NPCs could be recruited. One was the basic NPC survivors that could be recruited through the survival radio station. They were unable to participate in battle and could barely use their weapons to kill zombies. There was a high chance that they would be killed by the zombies. The other type had the skill of gun mastery and could use all kinds of basic firearms. The attributes of their characters were also higher than those of ordinary survivors. Players usually call them mercenaries. However, recruiting mercenaries were not free. Fang Heng needed to spend some survival points for this. Riding the mountain bike, Fang Heng arrived at the Apocalypse camp. Ha 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 ha. Fang Heng. You're here. I was just talking to my friends about you. I heard that you've completed the shelter. You're really well informed. Ha ha ha. Vettel looked very happy. He laughed loudly. Of course. In our line of work, first-hand information usually means wealth. Oh right, do you need help? I have a lot of people whom I can recommend to you, but you know. Fang Heng blinked at Vettel. I understand. I need to spend survival points to recruit, right? Don't worry, I will give you the lowest price. However, there is one thing. If they die in battle, you will have to pay an additional amount of survival points as a pension. I understand. Fang Heng shrugged. In major forums of the game, players had been criticizing the pension. It was too expensive. Players aside, even if it was a large guild, if a few mercenaries under them were to suddenly die in the early stages, it would be extremely painful to them. For ordinary players, they would not even consider recruiting mercenaries. The risk was too great. If one mercenary died, what they had accumulated in half a year would be lost. At the moment, Fang Heng believed that the prison's defensive ability could easily defend against zombies. But what about players? In the zombie apocalypse game, the biggest threat was still the human survivors. Fang Heng needed to recruit mercenaries to improve the prison's defensive ability. This was something that the zombie clones couldn't do at the moment. Fang Heng wasn't willing to deal with players. It was too risky. He was more willing to trust NPC mercenaries who wouldn't betray him. Vettel, is there anyone here willing to come to my camp? I'll pay them. Of course. Vettel waved his hand and a floating recruitment list appeared in front of Fang Heng. There were about 50 survivor mercenaries, all of them were level 1 to 5. Fang Heng skimmed through it. Among them, the 3 highest level mercenaries were at level 5 and they also had level 5 gun mastery. Fang Heng remembered seeing a post in an official player forum that said that level 5 was the highest level for the mercenaries. He could not skimp on safety. If he wanted to buy, he had to buy the strongest. Fang Heng selected 3 mercenaries. Are you sure you want to recruit them? Recruiting a survivor requires 6,000 survival points. If he unfortunately dies in battle, you will need to spend an additional 30,000 survival points as compensation. I am sure. Hint, you have spent 1,800,000 survival points to recruit 3 survivors. They will report outside your shelter in 3 hours. All right. After purchasing 3 mercenaries, Fang Heng's savings that he had accumulated during this period was completely used up. He now had less than 500 survival points left. Very good, I will immediately tell them. They will report to your shelter in 3 hours. Thank you. Fang Heng waved his hand, but in his heart, he was thinking how expensive it was. There was a limit to the number of mercenaries that could be recruited from the apocalypse camp. It was on a first-come, first-served basis. Currently, he was the only one in the game who had established a shelter, so there were no competitors to compete with him for mercenaries. Once the players had developed, high-level mercenaries would become a resource that would be taken over by large player guilds or gaming companies. Fang Heng casually said, Vettel, if you encounter stronger survivors, remember to introduce them to me at any time. Okay, looks like you're short of people there. Huh? Fang Heng was about to leave when he heard that and raised his eyebrows. This question made him smell the scent of a mission. I'm quite short of people. Vettel, we're good friends. Do you have any suggestions for me? Ha ha ha. Of course. You're one of my best friends. After all, you've always helped in my business. Vettel laughed loudly. He leaned over and whispered in Fang Heng's ear. Did you forget about the dark nights that I mentioned to you before? Fang Heng immediately recalled. Yes. Dark nights. Hidden mission. I had to go all the way to the city hospital to look for the T-virus antidote, right, he recalled. I'll tell you in secret. After you join the Dark Knights, you can recruit people from the Dark Knights. Vettel secretly revealed the information to Fang Heng. Believe me, the Dark Knights are all first-class players with top-notch strength. Recruiting them is an advantage. Fang Heng narrowed his eyes. There was actually such a saying. There was a mercenary whose level was even higher than level 5. He did not know anything about this in the past. As expected, even the so-called official game forum could not be trusted. It even said that a level 5 mercenary represented the strongest combat strength. The real secrets were all in the hands of the big guilds. Fang Heng cursed in his heart and quickly lowered his head to think. It was not a good idea to keep the Dark Knight mission on hold. Now that he had time, it was time to make a trip to the city. The sooner the better, while the other players had yet to establish a shelter, to seize the opportunity. It was best to recruit all the powerful mercenaries. One step ahead, one step ahead. Fang Heng's heart was once again burning with passion. He had to go to the city this time. However, it was still very dangerous to enter the city at the current stage. Before that, he still needed to make some preparations. Fang Heng raised his head. Vettel, show me your sales list again. Of course. Fang Heng opened the list and carefully observed it. There was a very high probability of encountering mutated zombies in the city. He desperately needed the ability to protect himself. Shotgun. It was capable of inflicting great damage at close range. The disadvantage was that he needed 6.5 strength points to use it. He needed 8 strength points to control it perfectly and 10 strength points to completely negate the recoil effect. Fang Heng looked at his own attributes. Player, Fang Heng. Level, 9. HP, 118/118. Vitality, 100/100. Spirit, 100 out of 100. Energy, 83/100. Strength, 6.8. Agility, 6.8. Physique, 6.8. Will, 5. Perception, 15. Intelligence, 5. That's enough, I'll just use it. I'll take it, he thought. A small explosive pack. Whether it was used to attack zombies or to destroy buildings, it was an extremely effective tool. He also wanted them. First aid spray. He also needed to prepare a life-saving item. Fang Heng roughly estimated that he needed at least 40,000 survival points to buy these items. He had to think of a way to earn points first. Brother Snake, look, I told you I wasn't lying, right? The prison has been occupied by players. Outside the prison, in the shadows of the forest, Prisoner Snake was holding a pair of toy binoculars to check the situation inside the prison. Yesterday, when Prisoner Snake heard from his subordinate that the prison had been occupied, his first reaction was disbelief. What a joke! There were so many zombies in the prison. How could they suddenly disappear? After repeatedly confirming the accuracy of the information, Prisoner Snake brought his elite troops to investigate the situation. Well done. You've done a great job. Prisoner Snake put away his toy binoculars and revealed a cruel smile. How the zombies disappeared was no longer important. What was important was that he found a fat sheep. The group of subordinates he gathered were all players with combat talents. These men were good fighters, but they were weak in survival and constructing skills. In the beginning, the team did develop as Prisoner Snake had planned. They robbed other players to get resources. But after a while, Prisoner Snake discovered a problem. They had robbed most of the players around them. Some died, some fled. Now, not to mention resources, Prisoner Snake and his men could not even solve the problem of food. Without food, the team's morale dropped day by day. Prisoner Snake became very anxious as a result. Good. This prison was an opportunity given to him by God. Prisoner Snake thought to himself. There would be no lack of materials in such a large prison. As long as the players living in the prison were driven out, they could then occupy the prison. In the future, he could even use the prison as a starting point to establish a massive force. Unknowingly, Prisoner Snake's ambition swelled up once again. He had long been unhappy with the small cabin he used to live in. Brother Snake, the prison's defense seems to be built pretty well. Tisk, so what if it's built pretty well? Isn't it built for us? Do I have to thank them? Prisoner Snake sneered in disdain and gave his subordinates a disgusted look. Brothers. Come with me. The players took out their weapons and swaggered toward the prison together with Prisoner Snake. Prisoner Snake was the first to walk to the side of the barbed wire outside the prison. He raised his leg and kicked forward fiercely. Bang. The barbed wire made a sound and shook heavily. Its durability dropped by 2 points. Humph. Prisoner Snake snorted coldly. Seeing that the players in the prison didn't have any reaction, Prisoner Snake waved his hand and said, "Smash them all." Okay. Behind him, Prisoner Snake's subordinates raised their stone hammers and smashed at the barbed wire fence on the outermost layer of the prison. Clang. 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 Under the attack of the stone hammers, the barbed wire fence shook and made loud noises. Prisoner Snake looked at the 3 buildings in the prison. His eyes were filled with greed. He was going to take over this prison. The excited Prisoner Snake and his subordinates did not notice anything. At this moment, in the forest behind them, 2 pairs of eyes were staring at them. The god is going to be in trouble. Lu Yu crouched in the bushes and carefully observed Prisoner Snake and the others. I know the leader. His nickname is Prisoner Snake. He is a mercenary with a bad reputation. I heard that over the past few days, quite several players' residences nearby have been attacked by them. Gee, a bunch of scumbags. Zhou did not have a good impression of these people. He asked in a low voice, "How many can you handle?" Lu Yu had combat-type talent skills. He re-examined the enemies. They have too many people. We can only take down 2 with a sneak attack. Okay, let's not expose ourselves yet. Send a message to the god. Later, we can coordinate with him. We can attack from the outside while they attack from the inside. Okay. Lu Yu nodded. He turned on the survival radio and sent an urgent message to Fang Heng. Fang Heng had just returned to the prison's building number 3 from the Apocalypse merchant camp not long ago. He was making arrangements for the 3 newly recruited mercenaries in the basement warehouse. Pistols, bullets, prison guard uniforms, explosion-proof shields. All of them were going to be deployed. Prison guard uniforms were collected from the prison's changing room. After wearing the full set, it could increase the accuracy of all firearms by 2%. The explosion-proof shield did not have any attribute bonus, but it could block part of the attack. Fang Heng did not wear it. The main reason was that he found the uniform too ugly and bloated. Moreover, he would not personally participate in the battle. In addition, level 5 mercenaries were temporarily unable to be equipped with sniper rifles. What a pity that no one could use a sniper rifle yet. Perhaps after completing the mission of the Dark Knights, only mercenaries with higher levels could use a sniper rifle. Fang Heng was giving orders to the 3 mercenaries to patrol and guard the prison when he suddenly noticed the emergency communication on the survival radio. He opened the survival radio. Lu Yu, God, there are people causing trouble outside the prison. It's Prisoner Snake's group. They've destroyed many players' residences before, and many people are coming this time. They don't come with good intentions, you all have to be careful. Lu Yu, we're hiding in the forest behind them now. We are waiting for your command. Call me if you're about to make a move. Prisoner Snake. Is it the group that was preparing to attack the small cabin earlier on? Fang Heng had some impression. Did they come looking for him so quickly? He quickly replied with a message. Fang Heng, Roger, hide first and wait for my news. Fang Heng turned off the survival radio and called for the 3 mercenaries to follow. He was prepared to go out and meet Prisoner Snake and his group of intruders. Boss. Before Fang Heng could leave, Liao Bufan pushed open the door of the warehouse basement. Boss, we're in trouble. Prisoner Snake and the others are here again. These B*ST*RDS are bullying us. Liao Bufan's voice became weaker as he spoke. F*CK. Mercenary. Liao Bufan thought he was seeing things. He rubbed his eyes. He wasn't seeing things. They were mercenaries. You finished building the shelter? Yeah, just finished. I didn't have time to tell you. It's just next door. Fang Heng patted Liao Bufan on the shoulder and said, Come, let's go out and see Prisoner Snake. I'll show you around later. Liao Bufan stood there in a daze. For a moment, the number of years flashed through his mind. Big Brother finished building the shelter. There seemed to be a game notification in the morning that a player had taken the lead in building a super large shelter. Now, the players were guessing who had completed this shelter. It was very strange that no gaming company, gaming club, or game guild had come forward to claim such an easy advertising opportunity. In the past 2 days, Big Brother had also collected and manufactured a large number of wooden planks and nails. Liao Bufan thought about it and quickly connected the 3 things. Could it be? Liao Bufan knocked his head. It must be it. The first person to build a super large shelter was Fang Heng, right? God. Big Brother was indeed powerful. Not only did he complete the shelter, but he even got the mercenaries in just one morning. Wait for me. When he came back to his senses, Liao Bufan saw that Fang Heng had already disappeared at the entrance of the passageway, so he hurriedly chased after him. Outside the prison, Prisoner Snake quickly noticed Fang Heng and the others walking out of building number 3. He raised his hand, signaling his subordinates to temporarily stop attacking the barbed wire fence on the outer layer of the prison. Are you the leader here? Come out and speak. Fang Heng didn't get too close. He stood more than 30 meters away from everyone, coldly staring at the 9 players standing outside the barbed wire fence. That's me. Prisoner Snake was sizing up this handsome young man in front of him. His mood turned foul. He hated this kind of person who looked better than him the most. Oh. You're quite brave, aren't you? Quite brave. What do you mean? Prisoner Snake revealed a disdainful expression. He revealed a fierce expression as he stared at Fang Heng. I say, you have guts. You dare to occupy our territory. We finally cleared out this prison area and now you're taking over this place. What kind of logic is that? Do you think we're easy to bully? The players behind Prisoner Snake also started to jeer. Yeah. Hurry up. Hand over this place, leave all the food and materials behind, and we'll let you live. Hurry up and get lost. Get lost. Get lost. Get lost. Fang Heng looked at them coldly. He was too lazy to waste his breath. These people were here to cause trouble. Liao Bufan couldn't take it anymore. He had never seen such a shameless person. He was so angry that he started cursing. Bullsh *T. We were here first and we were the ones who cleaned up the zombies here. Ha ha ha. You think you can do that? Prisoner Snake didn't believe Liao Bufan at all. He thought that there must have been an accident in the game that caused the zombies to leave. These people took advantage of them. Prisoner Snake and his companions laughed. Cut the crap. You're not going to get lost, are you? Then smash it. When I catch you, I won't be so easy on you. Seeing that the negotiation was ineffective, Prisoner Snake waved his hand to initiate the attack. The players behind him swarmed forward and smashed the barbed wire with their small stone hammers. The durability of the barbed wire began to slowly decrease. If they were going to attack in this manner, it would take less than an hour to break a small hole in the barbed wire. Prisoner Snake crossed his arms and looked at Fang Heng behind the barbed wire with great interest as if victory was within his grasp. He really could not think of any way for Fang Heng and the others to resist, nor did he notice Fang Heng's calm expression. Not far away, Lu Yu and Zhou Yi, who were secretly observing all this, became anxious when they saw Prisoner Snake and the others attacking the prison's barbed wire. The god is in trouble. Should we go up and help? Of course, we have to help. The god has treated us quite well. We can't just stand by and watch. Zhou Yi was anxious. He stared at the intruders near the barbed wire fence and thought of a countermeasure. Oh right, we still have the Earth-made bombs from before, right? When this group of people are closer to one another, we can throw 2 bombs at them later. We will give them a good time. Good idea. Lu Yu agreed. When they are in a state of confusion, I will sneak attack on 2 of them and you will hold on to 1. That's right. When the time comes, we can work together with the god and the others to get rid of this group of people. In a short while, Zhou Yi and Lu Yu had already planned out a simple and effective strategy to defeat the enemy. The 2 of them had been tense all this time started to relax a little. Lu Yu teased, as expected of our crouching dragon. To be able to come up with such a thorough plan in just a few seconds, it's admirable. Zhou Yi smiled smugly, waved his hand and said humbly. You must be joking, young phoenix. In this world, there are only a handful of people who can follow my train of thought. You are one of them. Lu Yu said, I'll contact God and have them prepare to cooperate with us from inside and outside. Don't rush, hold on. Zhou Yi hurriedly stopped Lu Yu. The god hasn't asked us for help yet. How can adding icing to the cake be better than sending charcoal in the snow? Let's wait a little longer. When the god can't hold on any longer, we'll appear as his savior and increase our favorability rating with the god. Lu Yu's eyes lit up. That makes sense. Boss is a genius. Hee hee, you too. Bang. A gunshot rang out. Both Zhou Yi and Lu Yu, who were in the middle of their discussion, were shocked. They turned their heads to look in the direction of the prison square. Bang. 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 Gunshots rang out in the prison square. What's going on? They were shocked to find that the arrogant Prisoner Snake and his gang had actually fled in all directions in an instant. Among this group of people, Prisoner Snake was the fastest to flee. Crazy. Prisoner Snake was going crazy now. The enemy actually had a gun. There was more than one gun. There were also mercenaries. There was more than one mercenary. Moreover, they were at least level 3 mercenaries. Ordinary players were at low levels and lacked gun mastery skills. The accuracy of their pistols was poor and the damage from a long-distance shot might not be fatal. However, mercenaries were different. Prisoner Snake could now confirm that the enemy's mercenary level was definitely not low. At least level 3. From such a long distance, with just 2 rounds of shooting, they had already killed 1 player and 3 players were slightly injured. All the players under Prisoner Snake made the same move when they saw their teammates fall. Turn around. Run. Prisoner Snake was now seriously regretting his actions. If he had known that the players in this prison had such strong equipment, he would not have come to this prison even if he was beaten to death. He had a premonition that after this attack, his subordinates would suffer heavy casualties. What was more important was his prestige. After this, the prestige that he had painstakingly built up in the team would drop to the bottom. But now, he had no time to think about this. Escaping was the most important thing. The moment he saw Fang Heng draw his gun, he knew that he was in trouble. He immediately turned around and ran. He was the fastest to escape, but Fang Heng had already aimed at him. Fang Heng's perceptive ability added an additional hit rate for him. In addition, Fang Heng also had level 1 gun mastery, which added an additional hit rate. Fang Heng only fired 1 shot. This bullet accurately hit the left shoulder of Prisoner Snake. Unfortunately, it missed a little. Prisoner Snake ignored the intense pain in his left shoulder and ran desperately. Prisoner Snake and his group, who had been aggressive just a moment ago, fled in all directions in a fluster. In an instant, they had all fled without a trace. In less than 2 minutes, the prison and its surroundings returned to a calm and peaceful state. In the bushes, Lu Yu retracted his gaze. He looked at Zhou Yi beside him with a complicated expression. He wanted to ask this question now. Mr. Crouching Dragon, where's the coal in the snow? Did you manage to foresee all this? Zhou Yi opened his mouth, wanting to say something, but he couldn't. His face was full of bitterness. Regret. And he said he would deliver coal in the snow. *T. Now there wasn't even any icing on the cake. Seeing the twisted expression on Zhou Yi's face, Lu Yu felt it was better not to provoke him. After all, Zhou Yi's mental state had not been very good these 2 days. He patted Zhou Yi's shoulder to comfort him. Don't take it to heart. After all, there are not many gods like Fang Heng. He is the first to complete the construction of a super large shelter. He must have some talent. Recruiting mercenaries. Lu Yu sighed in his heart. Sigh. Recruiting mercenaries is something only he can do, right? We're mortals after all. We can't have predicted this. Moreover, Fang Heng is our partner. He's our teammate. We should be happy that he's strong. Zhou Yi listened to the persuasion and didn't feel much better. He just nodded bitterly. This was the truth, but he just couldn't be happy. Lu Yu was helpless. Let's go. Cheer up. Let's go find the god to receive the mission reward. Inside the prison, Liao Bufan swallowed a mouthful of saliva. He looked at the 3 mercenaries behind Fang Heng. His eyes were full of stars as he muttered to himself. Amazing, amazing. I heard that these mercenaries are very expensive. Boss, what level did you buy? Fang Heng answered casually, level 5. Awesome. It's the best selection. Liao Bufan couldn't help but exclaim in admiration, his heart filled with envy. Was this the feeling of being the boss? Commanding so many underlings to hold onto their guns and watch the enemy flee. This feeling was King awesome. Fang Heng took a look at the loss. In less than a minute, he had used more than 50 bullets. Mercenaries were useful, but they were a little resource-intensive. And this was a level 5 mercenary. The hit rate and damage of their firearms were relatively high, so they saved more bullets. If it was a low-level mercenary, the bullet consumption would be higher. Fang Heng wanted to chase after them and finish off Prisoner Snake and the others, but the risk was too great. Prisoner Snake and his gang all had combat-type talent. If he forced them into a corner, the mercenaries would inevitably be injured. He could not afford to pay the high pension. God. Lu Yu and Zhou Yi walked out of the prison sentry cabin. "Oh, you're back." Fang Heng waved his hand to greet them. Zhou Yi had a special talent skill, geographical exploration. It was because of this that Fang Heng chose to cooperate with them not long ago. Through geographical exploration, Zhou Yi could roughly identify whether there were mineral deposits in an area. This talent was rated as A-level, which was a relatively rare skill. In the early stages of the game, players did not have time to mine, so this skill was currently useless. At least in the later stages of the game, players would only start mining after they had established a primary shelter. The number of mineral resources in the apocalyptic world was limited, and in the later stages of the game, there were often gaming companies fighting over the mining of some ores. Fang Heng had now completed the construction of the primary shelter. If he wanted to reinforce the shelter's defense, he would need to reinforce the wooden houses with steel and cement, and so on. All of these required a large number of mineral resources. 2 days ago, Fang Heng had asked Zhou Yi to help him search for mineral resources because he had made plans in advance for the next step of reinforcing the shelter. But now, his plans had changed. Right now, he urgently needed apocalyptic points to buy equipment and go on an adventure in the city. As long as he could dig up the mineral deposits, Fang Heng could sell them to the merchants of the apocalypse camps. He could quickly exchange them for survival points through the ore collection mission issued by the apocalypse merchants. Fang Heng noticed that Zhou Yi seemed to have a lot on his mind and did not seem very happy. He thought that they might have encountered trouble. "What's wrong? Did you meet with some trouble?" Sigh. Zhou Yi looked at the 3 high-level mercenaries behind Fang Heng who were equipped with pistols and sighed. "No." Fang Heng was puzzled. He thought to himself, if there's no problem, why do you give such a long sigh? You have completed the mission so quickly and even earned a huge sum of money. Why are you still not happy? Lu Yu said, "We found a small mineral vein, but the distance is a little far. The location is in the coordinate system, 38912-29123. God, we can set off to bring you there at any time." "Okay, I'll get ready. We'll go later." Fang Heng felt that he had taken another small step toward his dream of emptying the entire apocalypse merchant camp. On a small path close to the foot of the mountain, a group of zombies wearing lumberyard uniforms completely occupied the path and marched forward in a mighty manner. Lu Yu and Zhou Yi, who were surrounded by the zombies, were terrified. Terrifying. They were all zombies. If they were accidentally caught, they would immediately be infected with the GG virus. At the same time, the two of them couldn't help but sigh in their hearts. So that was God's talent skill. Summoning a zombie team. They had never heard of similar talent skills in the King of Gods game. This is definitely a 100% S-level talent skill. We'll be there soon. Over there, we'll reach the coal mine in less than 100 meters. Zhou Yi stopped at an intersection in front of the path. My character is only level 3 now. I can't find the exact location. We'll probably be able to find coal after digging along the mountain wall for a while. My skills are relatively low, so I can only find miniature coal mines. The reserves won't be very high. Fang Heng looked in the direction that Zhou Yi pointed. They were already at the edge of the mountain forest region. It had taken them nearly 3 hours to walk from the prison. It was still a bit far. We've checked. There are 2 small houses less than 200 meters away from the fork in the road. None of them is occupied by players. We've already cleaned up the small houses before we came here. We can rest there tonight. Seeing that there were only 1.5 hours left before it gets dark, Zhou Yi began to think about spending the night. If we're careful, it shouldn't be a big problem. Zhou Yi asked for Fang Heng's opinion. "What do you think, God?" Fang Heng had no objection to Zhou Yi's plan. "I don't have any objections. I'll leave the repair of the residence to you. I'll go check on the mine." "No problem. I'll go reinforce the house and clean up the zombies in the area. That way, we won't be disturbed when we sleep at night." At first, Zhou Yi was very careful when he left the prison. After all, being away from their residence would bring them more risks. But now, he was completely relaxed. After all, the god had so many zombies with him. What problem could there be? The 3 of them split up. Coal mine. Fang Heng walked straight along the path, muttering to himself. Coal was a high-value resource in the game. From the early to middle stages of the game, players would use a lot of iron nuggets to build shelters and make tools. Furthermore, the furnaces needed to make iron nuggets needed fuel 24 hours a day. Ordinary wood was inefficient as fuel. Players would use coal as fuel. In addition, in the middle and later stages of the game, players also needed a lot of coal to make gunpowder. Compared to other raw materials, the production of coal in the game was relatively high. Fang Heng walked along the path to the rock wall, took out wood, stones, firewood and some basic materials from his backpack, and threw them on the ground. Then, he sat on one side. The zombie clones began to move. They walked to the materials, picked up the materials and started to make stone pickaxes. Hint: you have completed the production of stone pickaxes. Your basic production experience points +1. Hint: you have completed the production of stone pickaxes. Your basic production experience points +1. Hint: you have completed the production of stone pickaxes. Hint: your basic production level has been raised to the current upper limit. Please upgrade your character's level. After the production was completed, the zombie clones each held a stone pickaxe and walked to the rock wall, waving the pickaxe. Soon, the sound of mining was heard. Hint: your zombie clone has destroyed a small part of the mountain. You have obtained a small stone *1. Hint: your zombie clone has destroyed a small part of the mountain. You have obtained a small stone *5. Hint: your zombie clone has destroyed a small part of the mountain. You have obtained a small stone *2. You have learned a basic life skill mining. Your basic mining experience points +1. Hint: your zombie clone has gained a small stone *3, a large stone *1, your basic mining experience points +7. Hint: your zombie clone obtained large stones *1, your basic mining experience points +3. Hint: your zombie clone obtained small stones *3, large stones *1, your basic mining experience points +3. Hint: your zombie clone obtained. Fang Heng took out a can of Coke from his backpack and opened the tab. Gulp gulp gulp. After gulping down a can of Coke, Fang Heng burped comfortably. It was comfortable to watch people work in the mines. In Fang Heng's memory, this body used to work in similar jobs to earn money. He was so worn out after that. This is awkward. I should have bought some iron pickaxes when I went to the Apocalypse merchant camp. Now the mining efficiency is a little slow. Fang Heng glanced at the setting sun. It's too late to rush back now. I can only wait for tomorrow.